Chapter 228. Godfiend Seal. Little Black exclaimed before Jean Ting could finish his sentence. What Godfiend Seal? Lone Moon frowned and asked anxiously. The Godfiend Seal is the contract seal of my race. Little Black explained. This seal will only appear when one swears on his own demon spirit and makes a contract with the demon Tao. Just like an immortal's heavenly Tao oath, once it is made, the contract will be protected by the God Fiend and must be completed. Otherwise, this seal will make the person who made the contract pay a greater price. But the God Fiend contract cannot be made unless one is a Sky Fiend or above. Otherwise the God Fiend will not respond. Contract. Lone Moon looked at the picture on the jade pendant carefully. Shening, where did you see this picture? Wait. This jade pendant can't be the one Huiling wore on her neck back then, right? Yes. Shening nodded. Shit. It was true. You think the person who gave Huiling this jade pendant made a God Fiend contract with her? That's why he could pull you into the middle realm? It's not a contract. Shening tilted her head and said, it's the person himself. Huh? What do you mean? He did not react for a moment. What Ben? God Fiend? You're saying that this jade pendant was given to Huiling by the God Fiend? He stood up abruptly and looked at Shening in shock. The rest of the people present were also shocked. Yes. Shening nodded calmly and turned to look at I Ching. Did you bring fruits? She felt that something was missing. Yes. I Ching reflexively took out his storage bag. That's impossible. Little Black shook his head forcefully. Exalted Goddess. The God Fiend is the ancestor of my race. The demon world and the entire demon race were created by him. He is in existence like the heavenly Tao, or even the god of creation. He has always appeared in legends. No one knows if he really exists. Even if he exists, why would he give such a jade pendant to an immortal cultivator instead of a citizen of the demon race? There was no point in doing this. No, it's possible. I Ching looked up at them. For the two realms to merge. Everyone was stunned and reacted instantly. If there really was a demon god in this world, then there was indeed the divine power to merge the two worlds. Naturally, it was also possible for him and Shening to transmigrate to this world. I Ching and Lone Moon thought even deeper. Back then, Huiling had used this jade pendant to pull Shening into the middle realm. By right, it was not that easy to cross the realm gate. It would have been fine if they had entered the mortal realm. If one were to enter a higher realm like the god world, it would be very difficult to enter unless one ascended. Not to mention the fringe realm that he had never heard of. Perhaps only the demonic god had this ability. Moreover, Shen Ying's power could not be understood by those who had not personally witnessed it. Shen Ying was the only one in the entire immortal realm who could stop the merging of the immortal and demonic realms. Locking her up in the underworld was the best solution. Even if she couldn't be trapped, she could at least buy some time. In fact, although Huiling's actions were stupid, it did divert their attention. Even after repelling the enemy, they were only focused on getting the celestial emperors to return to their bodies from the radishes, and did not pay attention to the situation at the gate to the demonic realm. You mean the demonic god merged the immortal and demonic realms? Zhuohua, who finally understood what was going on, frowned and turned to look at Jean Ting. Then where is this demonic god now? The two demon kings were stunned. After a while, Jean Ting said with a fawning expression, Madam, just as Li Yin said, the existence of the demonic god is just a legend. No one knows if it's real or not. No one has ever seen the real demonic god, so no one can find him. Then let him come find us. Shening suddenly said. Everyone was stunned and turned to look at her in confusion. What did she mean? Does Exalted Goddess have a way? Little Black's eyes lit up, and he started to flatter her out of habit. You are indeed the Exalted Goddess. You are so wise, brave, and omnipotent. Then how can we let the demonic god come find us? Shening finished the fruit in her hand in a few bites, and turned to look at Little Black. She suddenly grinned at him, revealing a kind expression that she had never shown before. Little Black shivered for no reason, and all the hairs on his body stood on end. Little Black. Yes, yes, yes. The weather is pretty good today. Why don't you make a vow for fun? The kind that requires the demonic god's seal. Ha! Sigma Q. P. Was he deaf? 6 hours later. Exalted Goddess, do I really have to make a vow? Yes. Shening nodded. Exalted Goddess, making a vow with a demonic spirit is a very important matter. We need to consider it carefully. Why don't we change it to another day? Ah. Exalted Goddess, why don't we change the content of the vow? I am a demon king after all. This is my first time making a vow with the demonic spirit. I should at least make a great vow to help Exalted Goddess unify the 3 realms. Not interested. Exalted Goddess, why don't you unify the demon world for fun? The demon world is especially fun. I'm not playing. Exalted Goddess, Zhan Ting is also a demon king. What's more, he has been a demon king for longer than me. The effect of making a vow is better. Why don't we change it to him? Not familiar. Exalted Goddess, shut up and go. All right. A certain demon king finally gave up and lowered his head. With a bitter expression, he walked to the center of the courtyard, looking like he was about to cry. With a pair of red rabbit-like eyes, he set up an array and conjured a seal at the same time. I don't want to be a demon king at all anymore. Shening. Perhaps because Little Black's eyes were filled with resentment, Lone Moon could not help but nudge the person beside him. Are you really sure that this demonic spirit contract can draw out the so-called God Fiend? I'm not sure. Shening shook her head seriously. Lone Moon. I Ching. Black and white. So you're just going to let Little Black try to die? Don't worry, nothing will happen. It was not a big vow. Shening subconsciously took a step forward and stood closer to the crying demon king. Little Black had already finished setting up the array. He even set up more than 10 defensive arrays in one go. Then, he stood in the center of the array and took a few deep breaths, as if he was desperately preparing himself for something. After a while, he turned to look at Shening. Exalted Goddess, can't we change the vow? Shening did not answer. She only raised the fruit in her hand and opened her mouth to bite into it. Little Black's figure shrank, and he immediately stood back in the array. Then, he raised his hand high and channeled demonic chi into his voice. He shouted loudly, "The oath of heaven, the supreme god of the demon Tao, the king of the demon world Li Yin, hereby swears by the demon spirit, to follow the laws of heaven and earth, to obey the rules of the great Tao. Tonight, I must let Exalted Goddess Shening eat sweet dumplings. If I break this vow, I am willing to bear the heavy punishment of the God Fiend." In a moment, his loud voice spread throughout the entire demon city, and did not stop for a long time. The city, Little Black. This is too embarrassing. I want to cry. Intersection chef. Yes, make salty dumplings tonight. Yes, master, no problem, master. Little Black. Lone Moon. Black and white. This was not what they agreed on. Chapter 229. The sky suddenly darkened. They were already at the bottom of the valley, but now the sky was filled with dark clouds, and the wind was surging. The sky was dark, and even the surrounding air seemed to have become heavy. Before anyone could react, a purple lightning bolt descended from the sky and entered Blackie's glabella at an extremely fast speed. In the next moment, a red pattern identical to the one on the jade pendant appeared on his glabella. It really is the God Fiend seal. Lone Moon was shocked. He did not expect such a ridiculous oath to really trigger the God Fiend seal. Indeed, as long as one was a Sky Fiend or above, they could trigger this? Blackie touched his body subconsciously. Fortunately, he was not missing an arm or a leg. He heaved a sigh of relief and turned to Shening. Exalted Goddess, I didn't. Master, the salty dumplings are ready. Before he could finish speaking, I Ching suddenly held up a big string of dumplings. Did he have to be so fast? He did it on purpose, he definitely did it. Oh, greater than over equal to greater than over equal to. Oh, Exalted Goddess, you'll be stuffed after eating the pastries. Do you want to eat later? He said seriously. Master, I've prepared spirit tea. He took out a cup of tea. Exalted Goddess, the pastries and dumplings are so dry. You'll choke if you eat them together. He continued to persuade. Master, I have fruits here. He took out a fruit. Exalted Goddess, look at the freshly wrapped dumplings. It will take some time to cook them. Why don't you eat the sweet ones first? Master, The water manipulation deviant fire art is done. He handed it to her. For all, Flip's table. Can't you just let me be a demon properly? I Ching. No one can doubt my professionalism. Exalted goddess. Blackie knelt on the ground and cried loudly. The consequences of going against the Godfiend contract are really serious. Why don't you reconsider? A certain someone who had already eaten half a dumpling asked. What did you say? Blackie. I Ching. Everyone. Boom. The clouds that had just dispersed gathered again. This time, it was even darker than before. There was not a single ray of white light in the sky. Only faint red lightning could be seen. A strong gust of wind swept through the entire demon city. Even the ground started to shake. The others were fine, but Little Black and John Ting seemed to have sensed something and knelt down subconsciously. Suddenly, a red light flashed, and the sky seemed to be torn apart by something. A huge red lightning broke through the air and struck down in the direction of Blackie. Sky punishment. Blackie's face immediately paled. The pressure of the world within the red light was so strong that he couldn't even lift his head. Even the demon spirit within his body was trembling. His heart immediately turned cold. It was just a violation of a contract, yet this heavenly punishment was too heavy. Seeing that the lightning was about to strike him, he subconsciously turned towards Shening. Exalted goddess, out of the way. Before he could finish, he felt his collar tighten. Shening suddenly reached out and pulled him out of the range of the lightning. In the next moment, there was a loud boom. The red lightning directly exploded on Shen Ying's body. The dozen or so arrays that Little Black Cloth had set up were all destroyed in an instant, and the ground glowed red. Shen Ying stood in the red light, looking up at the dark sky. Master. I Ching stepped forward worriedly. Seeing that she was safe and sound, he heaved a sigh of relief. That lightning. Out of the way. Shen Ying suddenly interrupted him. Everyone was stunned. Before they could react, they subconsciously looked up and saw that two more red lightning bolts had suddenly appeared above their heads. They were heading towards them at an extremely fast speed. Holy shit! Even Lone Moon was shocked. The lightning seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. No one could react in time. What was going on? Was this Godfiend blind? It was clearly Black's heavenly punishment. Why was it striking them? Chef. Shening turned around and was about to rush over to pull him back. Suddenly, as if sensing something, she retracted her hand. Ha! In the blink of an eye, a huge patch of red light enveloped the entire courtyard. One lightning bolt after another struck down, bringing with it an earth-shattering pressure. The strange thing was, I'm fine. Black had touched his body and found no injuries at all. He hurriedly used his demonic chi to test it out. Be it his cultivation level, demon spirit, or even his meridians, they were all unharmed. How could this be? This was clearly the lightning of heavenly punishment, scarier than any lightning tribulation. Yet he was completely fine. Exalted goddess, what exactly? Exalted goddess? Where's Exalted goddess? He looked around, only to find that Shening was no longer in front of him. What's going on? It's not just her. Zhan Ting suddenly spoke. Those two immortal cultivators are gone too. What's going on? This was an endless stretch of water. The surface of the water was exceptionally calm. It was like a mirror of the sky, reflecting the entire blue sky and white clouds. A man dressed in black stood between heaven and earth. His long hair reached the ground and he stood barefooted. Compared to the good looks of people from both the immortal and demonic realms, he looked very ordinary. At most, he could be considered decent. He had the kind of face that no one would notice. However, his red eyes were exceptionally special. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised with a hint of a smile. Large patches of fire-like red lotuses bloomed under his feet. Although he looked ordinary, he gave off an exceptionally seductive feeling. You wanted to see me? He suddenly spoke. His voice was not loud, but it was somewhat ethereal. It was as if the entire heaven and earth were responding to him. Shening. Shening nodded. She did not panic at all when she was suddenly pulled into a foreign world. Godfiend. The man did not mind her overly calm reaction. After a moment of silence, he nodded. He still had that somewhat friendly smile on his face. Yes, I am the God Fiend. Where's Chef and Father Neo? She looked around and asked. The God Fiend glanced at her and gently raised his hand. Instantly, the calm water beneath his feet rippled. Slowly, an image that looked like a projection appeared. Two huge lotuses appeared on it. Lone Moon and I Ching were lying in the lotuses. They seemed to be in a deep sleep. This is my divine realm. The bodies of all living beings in the three realms cannot withstand the divine power here. That's why I can only let them sleep first, he explained. Then he looked up at her. Except for you. Oh. Shening glanced at the two people in the lotuses. Then, she sat cross-legged on the water surface and continued to chew on her fruit. I have a few questions to discuss with you. What do you want to know? Did you give Hui Ling's jade pendant? Yes. Was the merging of the immortal and demonic realms your idea? That's true. Did you prepare the book that Father Neo was reading? That's right. We transmigrated to this world because of you. Basically. Then I have one last question. Please ask. If I beat you up now, is it against the law? Until you can't even take care of yourself. The God Fiend's smile stiffened. After a while he took a deep breath. Shening, I know your situation is special, but this is my divine realm. I am the ancient god who created the three realms. You can't hurt me. Is that so? Shening tilted her head and pulled out a fruit knife from somewhere. She casually stabbed it into the water. There was a cracking sound, and a white crack appeared on the surface of the water. It looked like a broken mirror. Do you want me to try? The God Fiend. Chapter 230. Everything I'm doing is for the three realms. The God Fiend subconsciously took a step back and said earnestly, Shening, didn't you also guess that something was wrong? I took the initiative to show myself to you in order to explain this matter. No. Shening shook her head. More accurately, I lured you out. The corner of his mouth twitched. All right. I believe that you are not an unreasonable person. Otherwise, you could have made me appear in the demon realm as soon as I sent down the first heavenly punishment on the little demon king. You wouldn't have waited for me to summon you to the god realm, even though you had clearly discovered my existence. No. Shening looked confused. I didn't see you just now. Didn't you look up just now? Did you see him? Oh, I wanted to sneeze. He wanted to drink some tea to calm himself down, but he pulled him in. Pfft. What was with this urge to spit out a mouthful of blood to kill her? A while later. Let's talk about the matter between the immortal and demonic realms. The God Fiend's calm face contorted several times before he regained his composure. I'm not interested in chatting anymore. Shening calmly swung the fruit knife in her hand and was about to stand up. Wait, the God Fiend's face paled, and he subconsciously took a step back. His eyes darted around, and he suddenly drew a line on the ground with his finger. Two figures floated out of the huge lotus below. It was I Ching and Lone Moon. Master. I Ching subconsciously took 2 steps towards Shening. Shening. Lone Moon was also confused. What is this place? What's going on? The divine realm. Shening pointed her chin at the person opposite her and explained, the God Fiend. The God Fiend. The two of them were shocked and looked at the man warily. This was the God Fiend? Although their bodies cannot withstand the divine power here, it is not a problem for their primordial spirits to appear. The God Fiend was still smiling at Shening. In that case, are you willing to listen to my reason? Fighting would hurt their relationship. Shen Ying's brows relaxed a little. She then sat back down and put away her fruit knife. Speak. The God Fiend's smile deepened. He said slowly, the reason why I am combining the 2 realms is not only for the Fiend realm, but also for the 3 realms. As he spoke, he raised his hand, and the originally boundless sky-blue water suddenly darkened. The water source began to dry up, and a golden meandering stream vaguely appeared on the ground. However, the water in the stream was extremely sparse, and only a stream as thick as an arm could be faintly seen. It seemed like a pulsating meridian, and it extended into the distance with a dense golden light. Do you recognize this river? The demon god asked. River? The 3 of them looked down. This river was too precious. What river? This is the main branch of the river of forgetfulness that passes through the demon realm. He sighed deeply. Forget river? I'm sure you all know that in the beginning, this world was divided into three realms: heaven, earth, and man. The river of forgetfulness was the only river of samsara that flowed through the three realms. Just like a person's meridians, it branched out to every corner of the three realms. What is flowing in this river is not water, but the souls of all living things. Soul. Shining narrowed her eyes. The river of forgetfulness gathers the souls of all living things, and also sends these souls to every corner of the three realms. Every drop of water is a soul, whether it was a demon, a god, or a living thing. All living things in the three realms were once a part of the river of forgetfulness, and will eventually return to this river. This is the truth of the samsara of all living things. No wonder the power of samsara could cleanse everything, even demonic qi. Back then, Chun-Gu sent Xiantong into samsara for this reason. There were only souls in the river of forgetfulness, and naturally it could not contain anything else. And the reason why Xiantong could not cleanse her demonic qi even after 3 samsara cycles was also because Chun-Gu forcefully interfered and made her reincarnate directly. Her soul did not stay in the river of forgetfulness. Even beings with long lifespans like the immortal, demon, and god races can die. When that time comes, they will naturally return to the river of forgetfulness and enter samsara again. The original demon realm was the same. Original? Shining caught the keyword. That's right, the original. The demon god nodded, frowning even more deeply. Suddenly, he waved his hand behind him. This is the main branch of the river of forgetfulness in the immortal realm. You will understand when you see it. Just as he finished speaking, a blinding light came rushing towards him. All he saw was a dazzling golden light, so wide that he could not see the end. It stretched for more than a few kilometers behind him, and he could not see the end of it at all. Half the sky was reflected in gold. This, Lone Moon stared at the wide main branch of the river of forgetfulness, and then looked at the small river of forgetfulness in the demon realm under his feet. How can this be? Wasn't the difference too big? Was he sure that the demon realm was also the main branch? The immortal realm, demon realm, and god realm originally belonged to the same realm. Originally, these 3 races belonged to the same main branch of the river of forgetfulness. But ever since the divine race ascended to the immortal realm and god realm were separated into 2 realms, causing the demon realm to be sealed. The main branch of the river of forgetfulness was split into 3, and was not as good as before. The immortal realm and the mortal realm are connected. Although the divine realm is separated from the immortal realm, it is merged with the earth realm, so the impact is not very obvious. Only the demon realm was sealed outside the 3 realms. The river of forgetfulness was isolated for many years, and as time passed, the river water dried up. And the people of the demon realm, souls cannot enter samsara. Lone Moon continued, and looked up at the person in front of him. So, in order to save the demon realm, you merged the immortal realm and the demon realm into one, and let the river of forgetfulness of the demon realm flow through the 3 realms again? Yes. He nodded, and resumed his faint smile, and no one could tell whether he was happy or angry. Then why did you pull me into this world? Lone Moon could not help but ask. If it was for the demon realm, he was one of the 3 ancient gods, and he definitely had the ability to merge the realms. Who could stop him? There was no need to pull him into this world at all, right? Although I am the god fiend, I have already left the 3 realms. I cannot directly interfere with the matters of the 3 realms, and can only interfere indirectly, he explained in a low voice. You intend to let me open the door to the demon realm? Lone Moon was shocked. No, you are just a supporting person. The god fiend shook his head. The spell on the door to the demon realm that Zhan Ting created is indeed a teleportation spell. But the material used to create the door is the heaven-opening stone that was left in the demon realm in ancient times. The Emperor Ascension stage is the heavenly pillar of the 2 realms. If the heaven-opening stone of the demon realm is placed on it, the 2 realms will naturally be connected to each other. So, the door to the demon realm can only be opened on the Emperor Ascension stone. He nodded. After the demon realm was sealed, I calculated the most likely person to open the door to the demon realm on the heavenly pillar. Lone Moon pondered for a moment. Is it Chenggu and Xian Tong? Yes. He looked calmly at the two people beside Shining. But the success rate of this is only 50%. There is still a very important obstacle. And you are the only person who can eliminate this obstacle. That is why I summoned you into this world. Obstacle? Lone Moon was stunned for a moment. Suddenly, he thought of something and turned to look at the person beside him. I Ching. In the plot, the only person who can stop the door to the demon realm is him. The Godfiend's smile deepened. The answer was obvious. That is why you let that book appear in front of me? The corner of Lone Moon's mouth twitched. Only someone who understood the plot in advance would want to stop I Ching from sending himself to death. But, is there a need for you to write these predictions into a novel? Are you a freaking writer? And the kind that will get your water meter checked? After I calculated all your reactions, I disguised it in the most suitable way to appear in front of you. The most suitable way? Isn't that Lone Moon's expression darkened? At the same time, two suspicious gazes landed on him. What are you looking at? A certain someone exploded. I told you I don't like to read pornographic books. Oh. *2*. Oh, your sister. Retract that suspicious wavy line of yours. The Godfiend's face turned bright red. He turned to point at the person in front of him. Can you guys pay attention to the main point? That pornographic book is all a plot by him. I have no interest in it. From what I know, you read it 4 times. The Godfiend asked. Pop. The sound of bubbles bursting could be heard in the air. Lone Moon. Oh. The waves of ecstasy grew many times longer. Shut up. Vessel *. Chapter 231. However, there was still a problem with my calculations. The demon realm turned to look at Shining. Something flashed across his eyes. What happened after that had already deviated from my calculations. That's why I chose Hui Ling. She was originally a puppet formed by a strand of Zichen's demonic aura. She accidentally entered the river of forgetfulness and was tainted by the aura of a soul. She was not a living being of the 3 realms. So when she made a wish to me to gain power, I answered her. It turned out that on the day of the competition, the strange white light that appeared in Hui Ling's jade pendant and the void realm that trapped Shining were really the power of the Godfiend. But did Hui Ling already know my identity from such a long time ago? It was no wonder that she had been targeting Shining from the beginning. If she was really a manifestation of Zichen's demonic qi, then she naturally would not be able to resist the power of a Godfiend. But the immortal realm and the demonic realm have always been at odds with each other. Aren't you afraid that the 2 realms would really end up fighting each other? Aren't you afraid that the 2 realms would really end up in a terrible situation? I Ching suddenly spoke up, raising his head to look at the man not far away, his brows furrowed. If it weren't for Master, the immortal realm and the demonic realm would have fought each other a long time ago. Then, what would be the point of merging the 2 realms? Didn't the divine race seal off the demonic realm to avoid this? As an ancient demon god, the creator of the demon race, are you saving them or destroying them? The moment he said this, Lone Moon was stunned and immediately reacted. That's right, he kept saying that he was going to save them. But the merging of the 2 realms would obviously lead to more sacrifices. Their lives and deaths are not within the scope of my consideration. His expression did not change, as if the lives and deaths of the demons were completely meaningless to him. The duo was infuriated. All I worry about is balance. What kind of broken balance is this? Lone Moon could not help but scold. If it was really for the sake of balance, you should not have allowed immortals and demons to merge into one. He was silent for a moment, then glanced at the 2 of them. What you see is only the survival of the 2 realms, but what I see is the reincarnation of the entire 3 realms. What do you mean? The number of living beings in this world is limited, he said in a low voice. The fiend realm is also a part of the 3 realms. Although the river of forgetfulness in the fiend realm cannot enter samsara, people's hearts are fickle. The immortal realm cannot enter the fiend realm, but mortals can become fiends. In the long run, what do you think will happen? The 2 of them were stunned. Indeed, the ascension of a devil cultivator from the mortal realm was equivalent to ascending to the devil realm. Looking at it this way, the demon world was a place where one could only enter and not leave. In the long run, the number of souls in the demon realm who could not enter the cycle of reincarnation would increase, and the number of souls that could be reincarnated in the three realms would naturally decrease. One day, all living beings would go extinct. Therefore, life and death are not important to me. The balance of the three realms is important. From the perspective of the survival of the entire world, even if the entire immortal and demon realms were to die in battle, they would just return to the river of forgetfulness. It had no effect on the world at all. For a moment, both of them were silent. What about me? Shenning suddenly broke the silence. She looked up at the god fiend in front of her. What part of your plan do I play? The smile on the god fiend's face froze for a moment. Then he smiled even more brilliantly. Your power is special, in order to prevent any accidents from happening, so I'm kind of insurance? Ha ha ha. A trace of guilt flashed across his eyes, but he immediately regained his righteous demeanor. The facts have proven that, although the process was different from what I had predicted, it was precisely because of your existence that the immortal and demonic realms merged together more than 100,000 years earlier than expected. Countless souls were prevented from disappearing. So, what you did was a good thing. Shen Ying's eyes narrowed slightly. The look in his eyes became more and more resolute. Everything I did was for the three realms, for this world. Save the three realms. Shen Ying looked straight at the person in front of her. Do you feel that you are especially selfless, especially great, especially awesome, especially sacred and inviolable now? So people should cooperate with you, should be used by you, should abandon everything, and let you do whatever you want. I did it to save the world. She suddenly laughed coldly. You just said that everyone has a responsibility to save the world. That's right. But have you freaking forgotten that this is not our world at all? Reincarnation of the river of forgetfulness? What does the survival of the three realms have to do with Father Nyo and me? I have no problem with you wanting to save the world, to merge the realms, to predict the future. But you pulled a completely unrelated person over, and played a big game for nothing. After that, you directly put a big hat on the survival of the three realms, and you want to pretend that nothing happened? Ha! Do you think that we who live in another world are so easy to bully? No, even children in kindergarten know that you have to get permission to ask for help. But the way you forcefully pulled someone from another world over, without saying a word, is not asking for help, but kidnapping, isn't it? Because you have a reason, because you want to save the three realms. So you can play us for a fool? May I ask, did we enter your river of forgetfulness? Or did we eat your rice? The god fiend, I Ching and Lone Moon. There really was rice and there was a lot of it. I hate kidnapping, especially moral kidnapping. Shenning stood up directly, her eyes darkening as her lips curved into a somewhat cold smile. No matter how many people you save, or what righteousness you achieve, but you still owe Father Nyo and me an apology, and I like to get it back with my own hands. With that said, she suddenly cupped her fists and pressed them together. A crisp cracking sound shook the godfiend's heart, and he subconsciously took a few steps back. But Shenning flashed to his side, and in the next moment, she was already in front of him, reaching out. Wait! The godfiend's face paled. The calm expression on his face disappeared completely. He was the godfiend after all. His figure flashed, and in an instant, he retreated 5 or 6 steps. Before the people opposite him caught up to him, he hurriedly waved his hand and explained loudly, I only let you transmigrate here with permission. Bullshit. Lone Moon also reacted. He was almost tricked into entering. Saving the world was indeed very important, but they were not people of this world. No matter how much they tried to save it, it was not their turn to come over, and it was even forced. They helped out of friendship, not out of duty. What they hated was not being forced to save the world, but his attitude when he was clearly using others, yet still taking it for granted. According to what he said, if not for Shenning this time, perhaps he would not even appear in front of them to explain all this. Shenning, he's stalling for time, beat him up. They had to vent this anger no matter what. Really, I'm speaking the truth. The god fiend hurriedly took out something from his chest and handed it to Shining. I did indeed get permission to let you transmigrate here. If you don't believe me, take a look. Lone Moon took a look and found that it seemed to be an envelope. The style did not look like the kind in this world, but more like the modern kind. Shining hesitated for a moment, then took it, and pulled out a piece of paper. She looked down and suddenly, the slightly angry expression on her face suddenly turned as white as the paper in her hand. Shit. Chapter 232. The moment she saw the words on the paper, Shen Ying's hands trembled, and she almost threw the letter. Her entire body froze, her face turning from red to white to green, and then to purple. Her expression was rich and colorful. She had even cured her facial paralysis for many years. Shening. Lone Moon nudged the person whose acupoints were suddenly sealed. What's wrong with you? What's written on the paper? He could not help but step forward curiously, about to look at the letter. Shening retracted her palm and took a deep breath. Her expression changed instantly. She suddenly smiled warmly at the god fiend, blinking her eyes and asking in a low voice, Mr. God Fiend, is there anything else I can help you with? Not to mention merging 2 realms, even merging 4, 5, 6 or 7 realms of heaven, earth and man can be done. Do you want to try? The God Fiend. I Ching. Lone Moon. It's alright, you can take your time to think about it. Leave it to me, the kind that doesn't require a salary. Her voice was full of twists and turns. Shining, you're crazy. Lone Moon looked at her in disbelief. Wasn't she freaking changing too fast? Shining completely ignored him, smiling even brighter. Whether it's saving the world or moving bricks, merging realms or tearing down walls, I'm a professional. Just tell me, don't stand on ceremony. No need. The God Fiend was also confused. Was he blind? The person smiling like a sunflower in front of him. Was she really that Shining? Alright, don't be anxious. Your satisfaction is my goal. She blinked her eyes even faster. She almost added, give me a good review, my dear. Hey. Shining. Lone Moon could not help but reach out to touch her head. Are you sick? Shining slapped his hand away and glared at him coldly. Get off. She turned to look at the God Fiend with that exaggerated smile of hers. Then is there anything else, Mr. God Fiend? No. Alright, then we'll leave first. Shining waved at him. Take care, Mr. God Fiend. Goodbye, Mr. God Fiend. Goodbye? Shun. Lone Moon still wanted to say something, but Shining tugged at him. The next moment, she pointed to the crack on the ground that she had made with the fruit knife, and stomped hard to make a big hole. She grabbed Chef with her left hand, and dragged Father Nyo with her right. Without hesitation, she jumped into the hole and disappeared. The God Fiend. Was he hallucinating just now? Lone Moon felt his vision blur. And the next moment, he was back in the demon realm. Little Black's eyes lit up. He was about to step forward, but Shening had no intention of stopping. Throwing down 2 words, go home. Then, he grabbed the 2 of them, and ran out of the demon city like an afterimage. He kept running out of the demon world, and headed straight for the Bo Si Heavenly Palace. He ran back to the rear hall, where he usually lived, and slammed the door shut. Only then did he lay on the ground like a dead dog, panting for breath for a long time. A while later, Chef, no one followed us, right? No. That's good. I Ching. Lone Moon. What exactly happened? Lone Moon finally saw the letter that Shining was still clutching tightly in her hand. He pulled it over to take a look. He saw that there was a neat row of black words written in standard Chinese characters. Little Ing, go and help. You're dead if you don't complete it. Sister, stay quietly. Quiet. This letter was written by your sister? Lone Moon's mind went blank. He seemed to have figured something out. Subconsciously he asked, Shining, don't tell me your sister is called Shun. No. Before he finished, Shining, who was lying on the ground like a dead dog, suddenly rushed over and covered his mouth. She looked like she was about to cry. Father Nyo, my biological father, I beg you, don't say that name. I still want to live for a few more years, really. Don't jinx it, please don't raise flags, okay? Masta? Not only Lone Moon, even I Ching was shocked by her extreme reaction. Was it so scary? Just hearing the name made her want to dig a hole and bury herself. He really wanted to know what her sister had done. You can't be Shining. Lone Moon had never seen her like this. I just said a name. Is there a need for you to do that? There is a need, of course there is. What if she hears it? It was very scary, okay? She can't hear it. No. Shining shook her head hard and looked around. My sister's ears are very, very sensitive. Lone Moon and I Ching. No matter how sensitive she was, she couldn't possibly hear the voices of another world, right? There's nothing on this letter. Lone Moon looked at the letter again. Why are you so scared? No matter what, she's still your sister. Do you think she'll eat people? Shen Ying's face turned green. After a long while she sighed. Sigh, you don't understand. My sister is scarier than a cannibal. What kind of person is Master's sister? I Ching could not help but ask. Shen Ying shivered subconsciously, and her expression changed. My sister. Wait. The corner of Lone Moon's mouth twitched. He looked at the two of them and said, before we tell the story, can we get out from under the bed first? I Ching. Shen Ying. What the hell? It was one thing to crawl under the bed, but why did she have to drag the two of them with her? Half an hour later. Master, have a cup of tea to calm yourself down. I Ching handed a cup of tea to her. She finally calmed down and gulped down the tea. She handed the empty cup over. Another cup, no, 3 cups. The corner of Lone Moon's mouth twitched. He snatched the cup from her hand. That's enough. You can tell me now, right? What exactly happened? What did your sister do to you? Shen Ying's hand froze. She seemed to want to hide out of reflex. She looked around and sighed again. You don't understand. Then tell me. Lone Moon was really curious. What kind of person could make the cheat Shen Ying like this? Shen Ying quietly drank a few more cups of tea and glanced at the two of them. After a while, she said with some hesitation, let me put it this way. All the abilities I have now were forced out by my sister's demonic training. What? Lone Moon paused and suddenly thought of something. He stood up abruptly. Your heaven-defying cheat ability. Don't tell me it was also trained by your sister? Oh no. I only got this after I transmigrated. She shook her head. Other than this, Lone Moon heaved a sigh of relief and sat back down. He rolled his eyes at her. Other than cheats, you have other abilities? Eating and getting angry after waking up? A little. Shen Ying thought about it seriously. For example, curve folding, spatial dimension control, spirit body development, third type of language, extreme development of the brain, artificial intelligence. She said tens of nouns in one breath. Lone Moon. What a mess. He had never heard of a single one of them. What are these things you're talking about? Could it be some kind of cult? It's very difficult. All right, then what have you achieved by learning all these? Shen Ying frowned. She counted with her fingers, as if she was really serious about something. After a while she said, I've won more than 10 medals for space managers. Does that count? What? What the hell? Awards given by the district manager. Chapter 233. That award is quite difficult. It's only given out once every 2 years. Master is indeed wise. I Ching praised his master. Master's mind is clear and agile. Naturally, you can do what we can't and think what we can't. Bootlicker. Lone Moon glared at Chef. If he didn't understand, then so be it. Would he die if he didn't brag a little? But on second thought, Shen Ying was indeed quite smart sometimes. Of course, that was when she wasn't being lazy. What you said isn't that great. What else do you know? She thought about it carefully. After a while she said, when I'm bored, playing with IT counts. IT? You? Lone Moon scanned her from head to toe. That's my profession. You play games, that's not IT. What kind of IT skills could a housewife have? I know other things too. Shen Ying said seriously. What? For example? She thought about it. After a while she asked, your company had an interstellar game, but the main engine was modified. You only found out about it after 5 years, when you released a remake? How did you know? Lone Moon was shocked. That was one of the main projects of their company's gaming department. It was very popular and profitable, but it was modified not long after it was released. Although it didn't have much impact, the technical department only found out about it 5 years later. Because it didn't cause any damage, and seemed to be better than the original engine, it was kept a secret. Only a few of the company's higher-ups knew about it. Oh, I was the one who modified it. Huh. Also, does your main server lag for 2 seconds at midnight and can't be repaired? Yes. That's because my computer is too slow. I borrow your server regularly to transfer things. Damn. Also, during the finals of the gaming competition you organized, the game suddenly crashed and couldn't be restarted. It was delayed until the next day. Yes, there was such a thing. Oh, the file I used your server that day was a little big. Damn. Oh, before transmigrating, did your technical department discover holographic technology and prepare to release a holographic online game? That can't be. I wrote the core program. I forgot to delete it when I borrowed your server. Motherf asterisk her. Also, enough. How many times have you asterisk king tricked me? He took a deep breath and suppressed the urge to tear her apart. Did I owe you in my past life? Why do you keep staring at me? Shenning hesitated. After thinking for a while, she gave him a definite answer. Maybe it's too boring to rest. Boring your ass. You play other people's servers all the time because you're bored. If you're that capable, go play the U.S. Department of Defense's server. Lone Moon took a deep breath to suppress the anger in his heart. You mean to say that your sister taught you all your IT skills? Oh, that doesn't count. I learned it on my own when I was bored, she said calmly. It took me more than 2 months. After all, it was much simpler than the Star Web. Damn it, I can't continue this conversation. Did he ever think about the feelings of the hundreds of technicians in his company? All right, we'll talk about your sister later. We can't just let the Godfiend go like this, can we? He felt indignant. Shenning looked up at him. After a while, she said seriously, Father Neo, how do you think we should settle the score with the Godfiend? Go back. Lo Moon paused. His expression changed. A hint of conflict flashed in his eyes. If he had asked this question when he first transmigrated, the answer would undoubtedly be that he wanted to go back. But he had already lived here for hundreds of years. Not a few years, not more than 10 years, not even decades. It was a whole 300 years. Although he always remembered what happened in his previous life, he had already treated this place as his own world. If he really left everything here and went back to where he came from, he would probably be even more uncomfortable. Lone Moon fell silent. The Godfiend was indeed despicable, but apart from beating him up to vent their anger, they really had no other choice. Even if the Godfiend sent them back now, it seemed unrealistic. He looked up at Shenning and asked casually, What about you? Do you want to go back? After all, she had not been here for many years. I Ching immediately looked over with a nervous expression. No, she did not even hesitate. She rejected him decisively, and even shook her head forcefully. With a serious expression she said, It's quite good here. I have food, clothes, and sleep. I don't have to study. I can even eat supper. It was really a treatment where she could let herself go. Good for nothing. Lone Moon rolled his eyes. Indeed, he could not expect too much from a foodie. Wait. Based on Shen Ying's character, she could not have deliberately stayed here to hide from her sister. Did she treat this world as a holiday? Damn! What the hell was this feeling that only he felt the most aggrieved? Chef, I'm hungry. Make me supper. Yes, master, no problem, master. I Ching heaved a sigh of relief and immediately turned to the kitchen. King retard. Sect master. I Ching was just about to leave when Yu Hong suddenly rushed in. Behind her was Qingyu and Feng Ying. As the eldest senior sister, she had always been steady. She rarely acted so rashly. Bad news, sect master. Xian Tong is missing. Xian Tong? Lone Moon hesitated. He asked in a low voice. Why is she missing? What exactly happened? Speak slowly. Let me explain. Sister Qingyu stepped forward. She looked anxious as well. A few days ago, little Tong told me that during the sect war, she had an epiphany and showed signs of forming sword intent. That's why she's planning to go into seclusion, to become an exalted immortal. Exalted immortal. Lo Mun's heart leaped with joy. After the seal on Xian Tong's body was removed, she was already a Stygian immortal. Apart from him and I Ching, there was no one else in the sect who could teach her. Usually when he was free, he would give her some pointers. But too many things had happened recently. This time, they were busy with the moving, so they did not pay much attention to her. And the disciples in the sect had always been left to their own devices. He did not expect her to be so hardworking. She was about to understand her own sword intent so quickly. She was indeed a good seedling for sword cultivation. Yes, that's why these few days, Yu Hong and I have been helping her prepare for her seclusion. Qingyu glanced at Yu Hong, and her expression became even more anxious as she said, "But when I went to look for her this morning, I found that she was not in the room. The array outside the house was not damaged either. She just disappeared into thin air. She's about to ascend. The immortal qi in her body is not stable. It's impossible that she would leave at this time," Yu Hong continued. "And she lives in the east side of the rear hall. That place has always been quiet. I've also instructed the disciples not to disturb her. That's why no one went to look for her. I've also asked the system to search," Fengming continued. "There's no aura of her in the entire heavenly palace. She should have left." Lone Moon and I Ching exchanged a look. "Come, let's go to her room to take a look." With that said, they turned to leave. Just as they were about to step out of the door, they paused and turned back to pick up a certain lump of mud. Together, they headed towards the side hall. Chapter 234. The invincible heavenly palace had hundreds of immortal palaces, but their invincible sect only had more than 200 people. That was why Lone Moon had allowed the disciples to choose whichever immortal palace they wanted to stay in. The disciples all chose to stay around Xiantong's back hall. It was not far away, and within moments, they had arrived at Xiantong's immortal palace. Unlike the other disciples' immortal palaces, Xiantong's immortal palace did not have a single immortal herb in front of it. It was all a lush vegetable field. There were potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrots, even onions, ginger and garlic. The corner of Loman's mouth twitched. He immediately knew what these things were for. He turned and glared at Shining. "Look at what you've done." The others did not feel anything. It was as if the courtyard was filled with ordinary immortal herbs. They walked through the small path in the middle. Yu Hong took out a token to unlock the immortal palace's restrictions and opened the door. Compared to the flourishing vegetable field outside, the immortal palace was exceptionally quiet. There was not even a single piece of furniture. There was only a meditation mat on the ground and a white jade vase on the windowsill. Inside it was a flower that was overflowing with immortal qi. Lone Moon released his divine perception and looked around. He conjured a tracking spell, but there was no response. Xiantong was indeed not here. But where could she have gone? Little Ling, Sect Master, Elders. Roasted Chicken Gal scanned the three of them anxiously. Although Little Tong is the youngest, she has always been the most obedient. She has never made us worry. She could not have left without saying goodbye. She did not even leave a message. Something must have happened. Lone Moon's frown deepened. "Yu Hong, have you sent disciples to search outside the heavenly gate? Especially the nearby islands?" "I have." Yu Hong nodded. "I have searched nearly 100 islands under the heavenly palace. I have also informed all the country emperors, but there is still no response. Where could she have gone?" He turned and nudged Shining. "Do you see anything?" Shining shook her head. Her gaze landed on the flower on the windowsill. "Nothing. You can't see anything either?" Lone Moon squeezed the jade flute in his hand. "What exactly is going on? Why don't we ask Salted Fish?" Shining suggested. "Salted Fish?" Lone Moon paused. Then realization dawned on him. "You mean Chang'e?" That's right, with Xiantong's relationship with Chang'e, he might really be able to find her. Moreover, that kid Chang'e, ever since they moved to the Bo-Si Celestial Palace, he would come here every other day. He would even send all kinds of immortal artifacts to Xiantong from time to time. Even a blind person could see that he liked Xiantong. He even said that since they were all from Fengsong, it was only natural for them to take care of each other. However, Xiantong despised him. 9 out of 10 times, she refused to meet him. Not only did she never accept his immortal artifacts, but she also often showed off Lan Hua and Sun Shu's immortal artifacts in front of him. One of them was a former genius celestial arch, while the other was from a family that specialized in weapon refinement. Their immortal weapons were naturally not inferior to Chen Ji's. Every time, he would suffer a huge blow, and after 2 days of depression, he would come back with a vengeance. The entire Invincible sect, and even Lone Moon were happy to see the two of them together. Although Chun Ge was not particularly strong, he was still a celestial arch. After working with him a few times, he was still trustworthy. Yu Hong, quickly send someone to the Feng Song Celestial Palace and invite Celestial Emperor Chun Ge over. Lone Moon immediately ordered. Go through the palace's transportation array. On the day of I Ching's sky-bearing ceremony, the various celestial thearchs not only congratulated him and repaid their debts, they also set up transportation arrays in the Celestial Emperor's sky-bearing ceremony. Now it was much more convenient. All right. Yu Hong nodded. Chef should go. Shunning seemed to have thought of something, as she turned to look at I Ching. He's faster. Yes, master. I Ching had no objections. In a flash he rushed out. A moment later he rushed back, grabbed something and threw it. Coming. Lone Moon. Yu Hong. Chun Ge. This was too freaking fast, wasn't it? Was this an invitation? This was clearly kidnapping. What? Lady Xiantong is gone. Chun Ge jumped up from the ground. Wasn't she going into seclusion? Why did she suddenly disappear? We're not sure about that. Lone Moon shook his head. Chen Ji's expression darkened. But, who could kidnap Lady Xiantong from the palace? Invincible Heavenly Palace? We invited you here to ask if there's any way to find her. Xiantong was about to ascend, and her immortal qi was unstable. She could not be disturbed. If they were not careful, something big could really happen. Chun Ge glanced at Lone Moon, his expression anxious. He sighed and said, I understand what you mean. He already knew that Xiantong was the incarnation of the demonic seed and mental demon that he had separated from her. But, although Xiantong's soul was originally one with mine, she has already gone through multiple reincarnations and is already an independent soul. What's more, the demonic qi on her body has already disappeared. Apart from the last bit of connection I have with her, I have no other connection with her. What's more, this connection was not enough for him to locate her. Then what should we do? Qingyu was even more anxious now. She had raised Xiantong single-handedly and was naturally more anxious than anyone else. Little sister Little Hong, Shining suddenly said. She tugged at Yu Hong and said, Go get Boss Lan here. Why do you want him to? Lone Moon stopped mid-sentence. He suddenly understood, and his eyes widened. You mean that radish array? Pooey, the heart-entrapping array. That's right. Chun Ge could pull Xiantong over with the heart-entrapping array. He could definitely do it again this time. Yu Hong, go quickly. Yu Hong also reacted. Her eyes lit up, and she nodded repeatedly. Yes. She quickly ran out to get someone. Lone Moon thought for a moment, then asked Qingyu and Feng Ying to move Radish over just in case. He took out a few immortal meridians and planted them in the vegetable field in front of Xiantong Immortal Palace. He even dug a big hole. After everything was arranged, Lan Hua and Radish came over. Lan Hua was quite loyal. He only gave a brief explanation. Once he heard that the missing person was Shorty, he immediately started conjuring seals to set up an array. Then, everyone in the courtyard turned to look at a certain celestial emperor dressed in white robes. Chun Ge paused, then seemed to understand something. He raised his hand cooperatively and said, I understand. I have experience in this. With that said, he jumped into the hole that Lone Moon had just dug. Thinking that the missing person was his sweetheart, he asked worriedly, Do you need to cover my head with some soil to bury me? Lone Moon. Lan Hua. Shining. Everyone. Was this the side effect of being a radish? Cover soil? Why don't you just sprout? Chapter 235. Perhaps because of his previous experience, Lan Hua set up the array very quickly this time. In less than an hour he was done. Thick demonic qi surged out from his body, enveloping the entire vegetable field in an instant. The sky darkened. The originally lush and verdant vegetable field suddenly withered. The demonic qi spread out like vines, following the pattern of the array. Even Radish, who was playing with mud, stopped. It began to look around the vegetable field seriously, observing where Radish would appear. After a while, it suddenly pointed at a potato on its right and said, "Over there, little big sister, over there." Indeed, in the next moment, there was a poof and a huge potato appeared on the ground. In an instant, there was a huge pit in front of them. A familiar voice came from the pit. "Sect, Master." Little Tong. Qingyu was delighted. She was the first to run over, and was about to dig her out. In the next moment, there was another poof, and she shrank back into the soil again. Her entire body seemed to be unstable, sometimes big and sometimes small. This is... Qingyu was at a loss. Why is this happening? Little shorty. Shen Ying's expression darkened. She stepped forward and squatted beside her. What exactly happened? Where are you? Xian Tong's body was still changing, as if there was something pulling her. Her voice was also intermittent. I'm not where. Pom. I've never seen it before. I can't use it, he's not an immortal. In the next moment, her voice disappeared completely. The huge potato on the ground did not appear again, leaving only a hole. The demonic chi surrounding it also dissipated. What's going on? Lone Moon looked at the hole in the ground, then turned to look at the person in the center of the array. Lan Hua, this is... Lan Hua. Poof! Lan Hua suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was as white as snow, as if he was seriously injured. Holy shit! What's wrong with you? Lone Moon was shocked. Everyone was also shocked. Lan Hua did not answer. He clutched his chest with one hand, looking even worse. I Ching stepped forward and checked his pulse. After a while he frowned. It's the array's backlash. How is this possible? Lone Moon's eyes widened. This was not the first time Lan Hua used this array. The last time, he pulled 7 or 8 people in at once, but nothing happened. Why couldn't he do it this time? Someone cast a spell on Xian Tong. Not only her body, but also her soul. Lan Hua took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "That person's aura is very strange. It doesn't look like immortal chi or devil chi. If he's not an immortal or a devil, could he be a god? No." Lan Hua shook his head with certainty. It's definitely not the god race. That aura. I can't describe it, but I only touched it a little before I suffered a backlash. Lone Moon's expression darkened. Xian Tong was such an unlucky child. Why was it always her? The first few times he had a target. This time, he didn't even know who it was. However, what was certain was that someone had taken her away by force. You're injured. Hurry up and regulate your breathing. I Ching reminded. Only then did Lan Hua sit down cross-legged and begin to regulate his breathing. However, the demonic chi on his body was extremely unstable, fluctuating between thick and thin. Lone Moon waved his hand and gestured for everyone to leave. At the same time, he pulled Chen Gu out of the hole. Then, he instructed Yu Hong. Go to the heavenly gate and see if Little Black has arrived. He should be on his way here. Lan Hua is a demon. We can't help with his injuries. Yes. The few of them returned to Shen Ying's back hall. They discussed but still couldn't understand. What was Xian Tong trying to tell them? Shen Ying. Lone Moon had no choice. He nudged the person, who hadn't spoken since they returned to the room. Who do you think caught Shorty? And what's the aura that Lan Hua was talking about? I don't know. Shen Ying shook her head. After thinking for a while, she added, but what Boss Lan said should be the same as this flower. As she spoke, she suddenly took out a vase from under the table and placed it on the table with a thud. Everyone. Wasn't this the vase of flowers on Xian Tong's windowsill? When exactly did you move it back? Why didn't anyone notice it? What's wrong with this flower? Lone Moon leaned closer and was about to activate his immortal chi to examine it. Flower. Radish suddenly jumped out like an engine that had found a keyword. It jumped onto the table excitedly and stared at the vase. Wild flowers can go to hell. Little big sister is mine. As it spoke, it raised its leaf and slammed it towards the vase. Radish. Lone Moon was shocked. This little bastard. He hurriedly reached out to stop it, but was a step too late. Radish's leaf was already slamming towards the flower bud in the vase. There was still immortal chi on the leaf. Just as it was about to hit the fragile red flower bud, a gray chi flow suddenly flowed out of the flower bud. Not only did it disperse the immortal chi on the leaf, it also directly bounced Radish away. With a smack, Radish was like a small cannonball. It was directly bounced against the wall, and was instantly smacked into a dried radish. There was even a radish-shaped dent in the wall. Radish! And everyone in the room was shocked. They hurriedly ran over. Lone Moon used an earth elemental spell to dig it out of the wall. Its originally snow-white body instantly turned purple, as if it had been dyed. The entire radish seemed to have been knocked into a daze. It looked at Lone Moon blankly, and only then did it realize that it was in pain. With a loud wail, it turned around and rushed into Xin Ying's arms. Wah! Little Missy, it bullied me. It hurts. It hurts so much. Its head full of green leaves looked like it was raining, water splashing out. Xin Ying frowned and distastefully pulled away a little. It's so ugly. She casually threw it to roasted chicken gal beside her. Wah! Radish hugged Xin Yu tightly and cried even more sadly. Ever since it met Xin Ying, Radish really had not suffered such grievances. It was a vegetation spirit. Its soul was originally pure, and it had just transformed not long ago. Although there was gender discrimination, most of the people in the sect were female. In addition, it had a sweet mouth. The disciples in the sect all doted on it. Besides Lone Moon and the rest, it was not an exaggeration to say that everyone else was obedient to it. This was the first time it was beaten to this extent. Its entire body was purple. What's more, the other party was a flower without sentience. It was no wonder that Radish was crying so hard. All right, Radish, be good. Xin Yu comforted gently for a long time before stopping its tears. Xin Ying pointed to the vase on the table. Did you see it? The faces of the people in the room darkened, and they nodded. Stepping forward to take a closer look at the flower, they realized that the flower had suddenly withered. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it turned yellow, as if it was corroded by demonic chi. Chapter 236. Lone Moon conjured a seal, and used a sliver of immortal chi to scan the withered yellow flower. That aura has already disappeared. It must have been used up when I attacked the radish. Vegetation immortal herbs are the easiest to infect the surrounding aura. I Ching said. This flower was placed on the windowsill. It must have been accidentally infected with Xian Tong's aura when he kidnapped her. But I've never seen this aura before. Lone Moon's brows were knitted into a dead knot. No wonder Lan Hua couldn't say anything just now. This aura is indeed strange. It's not immortal chi, nor is it devil chi. Furthermore, it's so gloomy and cold. Just now, he only felt a cold and gloomy aura instantly fill the entire room. Moreover, just a wisp of remnant aura was enough to repel Radish. Although Radish was a vegetation spirit, its cultivation was not low. From this, it could be seen how powerful the person who took Xian Tong away was. As far as I know, no one with such an aura has ever appeared in the immortal world. Chen Gu paced back and forth anxiously. Could it be someone from the demon world? No. Lone Moon shook his head, denying his guess. If there really is such a person in the demon realm, Xin Ying would have met him when she entered the gate of the demon realm with your mental demon. She would not have waited until now to appear. Moreover, Little Black would not dare to release someone to capture the disciples of Invincible Sect. Then what exactly is this? Everyone was silent. They couldn't figure it out even after thinking for a long time. One by one, they unleashed their sorcery in an attempt to track that aura, but it was useless. Even Feng Ying's system tried it, but it was to no avail. Lone Moon was a little irritated. Is there really no one who knows what this aura is? There's someone. Xin Ying thought for a moment and suddenly said, he definitely knows. Who? Just as Lone Moon was about to ask, someone pushed the door open and entered. Scanning the room, he said, Exalted Goddess, I'm back. The Demon King smiled ingratiatingly. That sky fiend called Lan Hua's injury is nothing serious. I've already helped him regulate his breathing. He'll be fine after a few days of rest. Oh. Xin Ying nodded and suddenly smiled brightly. You've worked hard. Little Black trembled violently and subconsciously took a step back. Exalted Goddess. If there's anything you need, tell me. Don't smile at me, okay? My legs go soft when you smile. Extremely soft. Blackie. Yes. Let's make another vow. the kind where we have to meet the demon god. Little Black. Lone Moon. I Ching. The spectators who didn't know the truth. Honestly, exalted goddess, do you not like Blackie anymore and want to change to another demon? 5 minutes later. Exalted goddess, what kind of oath do you want to make this time? Last time it was dumplings. This time it should be mooncakes, right? What's wrong? Is there a problem? No. Yes, exalted goddess. No problem, exalted goddess. Therefore, a clear oath was instantly heard in the Bo Si celestial palace, and instantly spread across half of the heavens beyond heaven. Oath of heaven. Demon Tao, venerable god, king of the demon world Li Yin, hereby swears by the demon spirit, to follow the laws of heaven and earth, to obey the rules of the great Tao. Tonight, I must let exalted goddess Shen Ying eat the 5-kernel mooncake. If I violate this oath, I am willing to bear the heavy punishment of the demon god. Sigh, I'll get used to this shameful thing after doing it. Chef, give me the egg yolk mooncake. Yes, master, no problem, master. 5 minutes later, in the divine realm, the god fiend. Could he use a different method to summon him next time? And a certain ancient god frowned. He looked at the person opposite him and asked, "Have you finished eating?" She had been eating for 5 minutes. Wait. Shunning swallowed the last half of the mooncake. She was in a hurry and choked. She coughed a few times. Finally, I Ching, who was beside her, hurriedly handed her a cup of tea. Only then did she swallow it. Dusting off the mooncake crumbs on her hands, she waved at the person opposite her. "Hello, Mr. Godfiend." He was not feeling well at all. "Why did you ask that little demon king to summon me? I have something to trouble you with." Shunning pulled out the withered flower from her waist. "Do you know what the aura in this flower is?" The god fiend looked at the flower in her hand. He was still smiling faintly and nodded. "Of course I know. What is it?" The god fiend scanned the 3 of them. After a moment of silence, he said, "You want to find the child that was born from the mental demon. You know where Xiantong is?" Lone Moon could not help but ask anxiously. "Of course." The god fiend smiled. "I am one of the 3 ancient gods who created the world. I know everything that happens in the 3 realms. Then. But I can't tell you that." "Why?" Lone Moon hesitated. "Didn't they talk about it quite excitedly the last time?" "I said it the last time. I have long left the 3 realms. I cannot actively interfere with the affairs of the living beings in the world. Otherwise there will be more chaos." The god fiend sighed and continued. "The child that was born from the mental demon, although it was only a remnant of someone else's soul in the beginning, now it has already given birth to a new soul. It is already one of the complete living beings in the 3 realms. She has her own fate. That is why I cannot tell you." "Bullshit." Lone Moon did not like the god fiend from the start. Now he was even angrier. "You pulled us into this world back then. Didn't you attack?" There was also Huiling's matter. Huiling did not give birth to her own soul. Of course she does not count. "But you come from another world. You are not from the 3 realms. Anything that happens to you has nothing to do with the 3 realms." "Damn it, this little bitch." Lone Moon's expression darkened. Suddenly he thought of something. His eyes lit up. "According to what you said, I am not from the 3 realms. So you can tell me these things? Anyway, it does not count as you interfering." The god fiend was stumped. "It did not work that way. You said it yourself." The god fiend shook his head. "Telling you is no different from me directly interfering. What's more?" He suddenly turned to look at I Ching. "You are not. He is a native of the 3 realms." I Ching was stunned. He suddenly raised his hands and covered his ears, pretending not to know anything. "Aya, I can't hear you." "Lone Moon." "Shining." The god fiend. "Do you think I am blind?" _ Cut the crap. Just tell me your conditions. Shining took a step forward. If he really did not want to interfere in this matter, he could have just not responded to Little Black's oath. Why did he drag the 3 of them here? Who would believe that he did not have any ulterior motives? The god fiend paused. The smile on his face deepened. "There is indeed a small matter that I would like to ask Shining for a favor." "Speak." He took out a piece of mooncake and continued eating. "I want you to help me find someone." The god fiend's expression darkened. A hint of genuine worry flashed across his eyes. Recently, I have not been able to sense her presence. Perhaps you can help me find her. Chapter 237. Shening glanced at him, a little surprised. Your lover? The god fiend's mouth twitched. After a while he said, You're mistaken. She's Mengpa. Mengpa, Lone Moon exclaimed. His eyes widened. You mean, the Mengpa from Mengpo's soup? Soup. Shen Ying's eyes lit up. Which soup? For all. Shut up. Lone Moon glared at her. If you drink that soup, you'll lose your memory. It's for you to use before you reincarnate. Did she have any common sense at all? Don't get all spirited the moment you hear about food. Oh, amnesia. The fiend celestial was taken aback as he thought of something. He smiled and said, That was just a joke Granny Meng made. The so-called Granny Meng soup is just water from the river of forgetfulness. The river of forgetfulness can cleanse a person's soul, allowing all living beings to return to their original state. The past will naturally dissipate. Whether you drink it or not, you'll have to enter the river of forgetfulness. Lone Moon. Shit. So this was the meaning of Mengpo's soup? He felt that in those love stories, the couples who promised not to drink Mengpo's soup were all King retarded. Like me, Mengpo is one of the 3 ancient gods who split open the sky. The god fiend explained in a deep voice. I, Mengpo, and the god of creation created the 3 realms from the chaos. Granny Meng is in charge of the river of forgetfulness and controls reincarnation. I am in charge of light and controls order. And the god of creation creates everything in the 3 realms. You're in charge of light? Lone Moon paused. Aren't you a god fiend? Are you kidding me? Demon god is just a name given to me by the demon clan. He still had that smiling expression, just like how Mengpa used to call him River of Forgetfulness. You said you were looking for Mengpa? What happened to her? I suddenly can't sense his existence. The god fiend sighed. He and I were born, because the god of creation created the sky. She was the embodiment of the river of forgetfulness, in charge of the reincarnation of this world. In the past, she never left the river of forgetfulness, but this time, the river of forgetfulness had changed. The devil world was sealed. If she had personally come to the devil world, she would have been able to reconnect the river of forgetfulness. She didn't appear, Shening replied. The god fiend nodded. That's right. This is the reason why I spent so much effort to unite the immortal and demon realms. Before he could say anything, they had already fled. Although Granny Meng is one of the ancient gods of creation, it might be because the river of forgetfulness has passed through too many living beings in the 3 realms. The more she came into contact with them, the more she would inevitably be affected. That was why her personality was a little more jumpy. In the past he would often hide, but this time is different. He frowned. I can't sense her presence at all. Even the god of creation can't find her. Both of you are from a different world. I Ching has great luck, and Shening has special abilities. Perhaps you can really find her. Why should we help you? The previous debt had not been settled yet. The fiend celestial fell silent for a while before saying, If Mengpo is not around for a long period of time, the river of forgetfulness will definitely go out of control. When that happens, the 3 realms will definitely be in turmoil. He turned to look at I Ching. Perhaps you don't care, but can you really stand by and watch as the living beings of the 3 realms are destroyed? Lone Moon choked. Shit. The world crisis again. Of course, I really don't have the qualifications to ask you. The god fiend's voice slowed as he immediately added. How about this? Regardless of whether you can find Mengpo or not, I will tell you the method to connect to your world. How about that? Really? Lone Moon was shocked. There was actually such a method. In that case, he did not need to consider whether he should stay or leave. The god fiend's smile deepened. He raised his hand and said, I swear by the heavenly Tao. All right. Lone Moon nodded. He trusted him once more. But the 3 realms are so big. Where are we going to find him? What's more, Shening, who had no sense of direction, was he sure that he had normal vision? Mengpo will not leave the source of the river of forgetfulness for a long period of time. The god fiend said, You only need to search for her in the realm where the source of the river of forgetfulness is located. It's very simple. You mean you want us to leave the immortal realm? Easy as hell. What was he going to do with the wealth he had accumulated for so long? Also, where is the source of the river of forgetfulness? It can't be the netherworld, right? Holy shit, he really planned to send them to hell. To be precise, it's the divine underworld. The god fiend corrected. God. Netherworld? What did that mean? After the divine realm left the immortal realm, the entire realm ascended. That's why it's now part of the same realm as the netherworld. Ascended to the netherworld. You're saying the netherworld was originally one of the three realms. The heaven realm, the god fiend nodded. The source of the river of forgetfulness is naturally at the top of the three realms. Lone Moon. I Ching. This was different from what they had agreed on. A bunch of nouns like hell, king of hell, black and white impermanence appeared in his mind. And those evil ghosts that even ordinary cultivators could deal with. So they were all residents of the imperial capital of the heaven realm? Although they were the kind that flowed. Why did he suddenly feel that the divine realm had fallen to the bottom of the valley? Where's Shorty? Shenning suddenly asked. Don't worry. Given her fate, she'll be fine. She's not fated to die, the god fiend explained. And wherever you go is where she is. Xian Tong is in the divine underworld. Lone Moon was shocked. No wonder none of them had seen the aura from the flower before. So it wasn't something that belonged to someone from the celestial realm? But why did the divine race want to capture Xian Tong? That's not right. Can people from the divine realm enter the celestial realm as they please? If they could, why had no divine race appeared in the celestial realm all these years? This was illogical. You'll understand once you go to the divine underworld. He waved his hand. Instantly, a white light flashed and floated in front of them. I can't interfere with the three realms, so I can't go there personally. If you're ready to move, use your immortal chi to activate this. It will bring you to the divine underworld. As long as you're within 10 feet of Mengpa, this thing will light up as a red warning. I'll appear then. Shunning reached out to take it. Lone Moon looked down and his mouth twitched. Indeed, it was another jade pendant. And it was the same as the two pieces that Hui Ling had. Did this god fiend have some special obsession with jade pendants? Thank you for your hard work. The god fiend's smile deepened. His figure became fainter and fainter. Even the entire divine realm dissipated like fog. Wait, they weren't done with their questions. At least give them a general direction. Lone Moon wanted to ask more. But the scenery in front of him changed. They were already standing in the courtyard of the Heavenly Palace's rear palace. Little Black was sitting on a chair opposite them. He was holding a bowl-sized piece of mooncake and munching on it. It was a 5-kernel mooncake. Exalted Goddess, you're back. Little Black dusted off the mooncake crumbs on his hands. That was fast. How is it? What did the god fiend say? Little Black. Shinning suddenly interrupted him. She glanced at the empty plate on the table and narrowed her eyes. You can leave now. Ah, he just arrived not long ago. Why dash? Just as he was about to ask, Shenning suddenly glanced at him. Little Black felt a chill run down his spine. He subconsciously trembled. Why was the exalted goddess looking at him like that? Demon King, please. Yu Hong was very perceptive. She started to chase him away. Little Black looked confused. He turned back every step he took and walked out. Little sister Little Hong. Did I do something wrong? He felt that the exalted goddess was looking down on him. Yu Hong looked at him strangely. What? Sigh. It's better if you don't know. Why? Sect Master hasn't had dinner today. Ah, what do you mean? Speak clearly, so that I can suck up to you next time. Chapter 238. What do you think? Should we go or not? Lone Moon frowned. He had agreed readily just now. But now he was a little conflicted. Xian Tong was currently in the divine underworld, and her situation was unknown. Although the god fiend said that she was not in danger for the time being, it did not mean that she would be fine in the future. Moreover, she was only a Stygian immortal. In that place where gods were everywhere, it would be strange if she could be safe. Especially her indescribable bad luck attribute. No matter what, he was still a disciple of their sect, so it was impossible for them to ignore him. However, if the three of them went to the divine underworld, putting aside the fact that the god fiend wanted them to look for Mengpa, it would be a problem if they could even return. The world of immortals seemed to be in peace. That was because of Shening. The moment she ascended to the god realm, the immortal realm, and the devil realm would start fighting at any moment. And the first to bear the brunt was the invincible heavenly palace. Although the 10 sky demons haven't recovered from their injuries from the last time you beat them up, with the 10 heavenly emperors joining forces, it was not that they did not have the power to fight the fiend world either. But if you add Little Black, it was not that he was biased, but the strength of the immortal world was really too weak. Moreover, the demon world still has Zhan Ting. Although Emperor Zhuohua was present, this henpecked husband wouldn't be able to cause much trouble. But if they really caused a ruckus, the other demons might come looking for them. What do you think we should do now? Huh? Shening stammered. As she chewed on the vegetables, she turned around. What did you say? Lone Moon felt a ding in his mind. Something snapped. You're still in the mood to eat. Can't you see that I'm so anxious? He was so angry that his liver hurt. He turned around and glared at a certain person who was walking towards the kitchen. And you, stop cooking. You've already cooked more than 20 dishes. Father Niu. Shening slurped the food into her mouth. You'll only have the energy to think when you're full. Chef, add a tomato scrambled egg. Yes, master. No problem, master. That's enough. Lone Moon resisted the urge to flip the table. Aren't the two of you worried about Shorty at all? After all, they had known each other for so many years and watched her grow up. I'm worried. Shening nodded. That's why I asked Chef to make a few more dishes for us to eat on the road. What if there was nothing to eat there? You're really planning to go to the divine underworld. And you're planning to leave now? What else? But if we leave our sect in the immortal and demonic realms? Father Niu. Shening suddenly interrupted him and said in a low voice. Why did you leave Black Heaven sect back then? Lone Moon stared blankly at her. Why? Black Heaven sect intended to make I Ching and Shening the scapegoats. They were supposed to protect their disciples, but they didn't care about their disciples' lives in times of crisis. That was why I Ching's heart was cold towards such a sect. Then he boarded Shen Ying's pirate ship. It's the same for us now. Shening thought about it and said, Shorty is a member of our invincible sect. Lone Moon's whole body shook, and the knot of depression that had been condensed in his heart dissipated instantly. Yes, why was he hesitating? They were disciples of invincible sect. How could they let others bully them? As for coming back with the cheat, he had nothing to be afraid of. If worst comes to worst, I'll just capture a demon and make him swear an oath. I understand. Lone Moon smiled. He felt his entire body relax. His heart mirror was transparent. He glared at Shening out of habit. And, get your oily claws off my shoulder. Damn it. She even took the opportunity to rub against him 2 or 3 times, treating his Dharma robe as a rag. Don't think I didn't see it. Do you believe that I won't stomp it? Shening retracted her claws and continued to reach for the big bowl in front of her. There's crayfish tonight. Sigh, a pity that she didn't prepare a napkin. Her hands were so oily that it was hard to pick up other dishes. Master, the tomato scrambled eggs are ready. Oh. Lone Moon conjured a dust-removing seal and wiped away the oily claw marks on his shoulder. Then, he sat back down at the table. He looked around worriedly. It seemed like he had to make arrangements for the heavenly palace as soon as possible. After all, there were so many disciples to worry about. Don't worry, I Ching said as he moved the tomato scrambled eggs in front of Shening. The god fiend did not hesitate to use the method of connecting the 2 worlds to request for us to go to the divine underworld. It seems that he had already thought of everything. Then, he must have arranged everything that we're worried about. Lone Moon was stunned. Just as he was about to ask, the ground shook. Not far away, a thick demonic chi rose into the sky. In an instant, it covered the entire heavenly palace. The immortal chi was forced to disperse in all directions. This is the direction of Lan Hua? And look at the level of the demonic chi. Lan Hua has ascended. Lone Moon was shocked. He stood up immediately. Lan Hua was a sky fiend. If he ascended, he would be a demon king. Although Lan Hua was a demon, his heart had always been biased towards the immortal realm. Could this be the God Fiend's arrangement? If Lan Hua ascended to the demon king, even if they weren't here, the immortal and demonic realms could still maintain balance. He had to say that the God Fiend had really thought of everything. The worry in Lomlan's heart dissipated a lot. Sheningwei. Before he could finish speaking, a golden light suddenly lit up around Shenying's waist. It instantly enveloped the three of them. Holy shit! It's that jade pendant! Longmoon shouted, but it was too late. The three of them disappeared on the spot. The God Fiend was a liar. He said that immortal chi could be activated, but he didn't say that any immortal chi could be activated. Somewhere in the divine underworld, thick immortal chi spread throughout the entire forest. Like a white fog, it became thicker and thicker. It seemed like it was about to condense and take form. In a short while, the originally lush and green forest had become a snowy white. And between the layers of clouds, a huge door covered with array patterns appeared. It looked very simple and unadorned. Dermic talismans with golden characters floated around it, carrying with it an oppressive might of heaven and earth. Suddenly there was a creaking sound. The door suddenly opened outwards. Blinding golden light shone out from inside, sprinkling across the entire forest. A faint heavenly voice sounded. It sounded so far away that it couldn't be heard clearly. It was as if something was descending into the world. The next moment, a huge dragon's roar broke through the air. A black figure rushed out from inside, straight into the night sky. The dragon's roar spread in all directions. It did not stop for a long time, causing the sea of clouds to churn. The surrounding immortal chi became thicker. The huge door had already disappeared. It turned into wisps of blue god power that surged towards the figure in the clouds. The huge black dragon was faintly discernible between the clouds. It seemed to be dancing excitedly in the sky. A voice with god power suddenly sounded from the sky. Ha 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 ha. I've finally cultivated a winged dragon and ascended to the divine realm. The dragon's voice was very loud. As it laughed, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. From now on, I'm a true member of the divine clan. As soon as it finished speaking, there was a loud rumble of thunder. The huge black dragon's body suddenly emitted several red lightning bolts. The sky instantly darkened, and everything was pitch black. However, the huge dragon was still dancing in the clouds. Its god power immediately spread out in all directions. The more the black dragon flew, the more excited it became. Wizard, I'll definitely make you pay for what happened hundreds of thousands of years ago. As it spoke, it seemed to be venting its anger. It spat out a huge red lightning bolt. With a loud rumble, it struck downwards. Its entire body rushed towards the forest below along with the lightning bolt. It was as if it wanted to strike the forest below into ashes. The lightning bolt carried with it a shocking might, and went further and further away. The huge dragon was eager to vent its anger. It passed through the clouds, the lightning bolt and the trees. It looked like it was about to hit the ground. Suddenly, a figure appeared from behind a tree. He wore a white robe with blue trim, and his hair was a little messy. He raised his head slightly, and directly met the huge dragon's eyes. As if he was used to waving and greeting, he said, "Hey, long worm." Chapter 239. The black dragon's eyes widened, and it subconsciously closed its mouth to swallow the lightning it had just spat out. Its body stiffened, but it was too late to turn around, and it was unable to stop its onslaught. With a rumble, the black dragon's huge dragon head plunged into the ground, and like a giant shovel, it directly uprooted a huge ancient tree beside it. All Shining heard was a crash. The ancient tree drew a perfect arc in the air, and fell to the ground. She could faintly hear a cracking sound coming from the black dragon's body. It sounded like something was broken. "Hey, are you still alive?" Shining picked up a tree branch, and poked at the creature, whose head was still buried in the ground. Why did he pretend to be a pangolin? His bones were broken, right? Shining looked carefully at the dragon in front of her. "You're not that long worm from the park director, are you?" Although he had grown bigger, he might have been fed better food. The dragon's body stiffened, as if he had just regained his senses. He pulled his head out of the ground and jumped more than 10 meters away. He looked at the person in front of him in horror. Great, great, great immortal, you. Why are you here? Isn't this the divine realm? You really are a long worm. Shening was a little surprised. Hey, long time no see. You look different. Even his horns had changed. Great immortal, I have already transformed into a winged dragon. Naturally, I will look like a dragon. The black dragon trembled out of habit and took a step back weakly. And I am now the same as Baizé, a divine race. Oh, Shening nodded. She imitated Father Neo and praised him in a commercial manner. You work very hard. Great, great immortal, you flatter me. The black dragon chuckled. Ever since great immortal ascended, hundreds of thousands of years have passed in the Azure world. Naturally Wait, you are an immortal? He seemed to have thought of something important. He scanned the immortal chi around Shening that had not completely dissipated. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Even the fear in his eyes faded. Shening hesitated for a moment before nodding. I guess so. Then, it heaved a long sigh of relief and looked straight at Shening. Its body lit up with red lightning again, and its mouth curved into a sinister smile. That's great. Ha! Shening tilted her head. Ha ha ha. It suddenly let out a burst of cold laughter, and the lightning on its body brightened. I almost forgot. I'm already a god. Do you think I'm afraid of you? What can a mere immortal do to me? With that said, he suddenly leaped and pounced toward Shening. Is he itching for a beating? 2 minutes later. Exalted goddess, I was wrong. In the future, I will be your worm when I live, and I will be your dead worm when I die. As long as you command me, I will go through fire and water. I will go through water and tread on fire without hesitation. It's not that serious. Shening frowned. I just want to ask you for a favor. Please give me your instructions, exalted goddess. I just arrived in this world and got separated from Chef and the others. She looked around in confusion. Bring me out of this forest first. Yes, exalted goddess. No problem, exalted goddess. Leave it to me, exalted goddess. The black dragon nodded vigorously. Exalted goddess, do you know roughly where the person you're looking for is? I don't know. They disappeared the moment I arrived in the divine world. Then, how long have you been in this forest, exalted goddess? For 5-6 months. She had forgotten. The black dragon. This forest isn't that big. How did you manage to get out of it after spending a few months? Then exalted goddess, why don't we get out of here first? The black dragon asked tentatively. Afraid that she was unwilling, he added. Exalted goddess, don't worry. Before you find the person you're looking for, I'll be by your side. All right. Shening nodded very agreeably. Thank you for your hard work. It's my job. The black dragon chuckled. Then can I trouble exalted goddess to pull me out of this rock on the ground? This should be a divine mystic rock. It's too hard. I think I'm stuck. That's why she had to do it herself when they could talk nicely. Wait a minute. Shening retracted her foot from the dragon's head. She looked around and picked up its tail. She remembered that it said the rock was too hard, so she exerted a little more force. She tightened her grip and pulled hard. With a loud tearing sound, the black dragon was still stuck in the rock. Shening had half of the dragon's tail in her hand. Shening! Ayo! A blood-curdling screech instantly spread through the entire forest. It carried along the echoes of the screech, echoing endlessly. I'm sorry. I didn't expect this rock to be so hard. Shening scratched her head apologetically. She immediately changed her strategy. Why don't I break the rock? With that said, she clenched her fist and punched the ground. There was a series of cracking sounds. Cracks spread out like a spider web. The huge rock under their feet collapsed instantly and shattered into pieces. The black dragon, who could finally move, froze in place. Why did it suddenly feel that it was extremely lucky not to be beaten to death just now? Let's go. Shening jumped down from the pile of rocks. She took 2 steps, but the black dragon did not follow. Long worm, why are you standing there? Aren't you going? The black dragon's whole body trembled. It looked at the rubble on the ground in fear. My legs. My legs are weak. All 4 of your legs are weak. Shunning glanced at it and sighed. She turned around and said kindly, Why don't you? I'll carry you. No, no, no. There's no need. The black dragon jumped up. A black light flashed on its body, and it turned into a man dressed in black. I can walk. Thank you, exalted goddess. Shunning did not mind. Longworm, which way? Why don't we go east? The black dragon pointed to the right, and followed behind her like a little wife. All right. Shunning started walking. Exalted goddess. East is on your right. Oh. She immediately turned in another direction. Exalted goddess, that's left. A quarter of an hour later, a light breeze swept through the forest. A man dressed in green landed on the pile of rubble that the 2 of them had just left. His eyes were red, and he looked angrily at the rubble on the ground. Damn it! Who destroyed the supreme divinity's divine mystic stone? He waved his hand. Instantly, a faint layer of white fog appeared on the divine mystic stone. It began to slowly gather and take shape. In a short while, it turned into the shape of a dragon. Even its color turned black. So it's a black dragon. The man's expression became even more furious. Damn it! He waved his sleeves. Instantly, a huge aura exploded from his body. In an instant, half of the forest behind him collapsed. The man glanced at the rubble on the ground. Once again, he turned into a light breeze and disappeared. At this moment, Shunning, who was outside the forest, was looking at the endless grassland in front of her in surprise. Wow, it really came out. Chapter 240. Shunning, who had no sense of direction for a few months, could not help but praise the worm beside her. Good job, Longworm. Of course, of course. The black dragon smiled humbly. The forest wasn't that big anyway. Exalted goddess. What do you plan to do next? Shunning thought about it, and glanced at the path in front of her. Let's go to a crowded place first. Chef would probably come looking for her. Perhaps they would bump into each other. The key was, did you bring anything to eat? She was really not used to not having anything to eat. Eat what? The black dragon shuddered. He was instantly reminded of the beast's hide that had been cut in half. His face turned pale. Exalted goddess, I've been undergoing grain liberation since I was very young. So I don't. Oh. Shunning looked disappointed. She turned and scanned the black dragon from head to toe. She seemed to have discovered something. Longworm, you, Bada. Before she could finish her sentence, the black dragon's legs gave way, and he fell to his knees. He started wailing. Exalted goddess. I can't eat it. I still need to show you the way. Also, my meat tastes really bad, really. No, Exalted goddess, have you forgotten that I'm a demonic WRM? My entire body is poisonous. If you eat me, you'll have diarrhea. Actually, I know you're hungry, but I still want to get married and have a nest of little dragons. I won't die in peace, exalted goddess. The corner of Xunying's mouth twitched. What nonsense was this? I'm not going to eat you. Exalted god, I'm not. The black dragon was stunned and his tears stopped. He looked at Xunying in disbelief. You're not? Yes. She nodded. I don't know how to cook. The chef wasn't even here. The black dragon heaved a long sigh of relief, looking as if he had just escaped death. That's good. What did the exalted goddess want to say? Xunying glanced at him. Oh, I wanted to remind you to change your clothes. What did that mean? You know there's a big hole in your clothes? Xunying pointed at his back. Exalted goddess, you must be joking. The black dragon explained seriously. My black robe is still formed from dragon scales, it won't. He subconsciously touched his back and felt a cool sensation. His body instantly stiffened. Don't you feel that your butt is a little cold? A while later, a blood-curdling scream pierced through the air. He had forgotten that half of his tail fin had been torn off, and he had actually walked through the entire forest with his butt bare. There was no hope for a dragon's life. The dragon and the man walked aimlessly for more than an hour. Only when they passed through a grassland did they gradually see other figures. The black dragon could only tell from their breaths that most of them were from the god clan in human form. However, they might have used some kind of concealment spell, so the black dragon could not see through their original forms. They asked around, but no one had seen I Ching and Lone Moon. But the further east they went, the more people they saw. In less than a moment, there were already dozens of figures flying with them in the sky. These people seemed to be flying in the same direction, as if they were in a hurry to go somewhere. There was a faint look of excitement on their faces, and they were flying rather anxiously. This little brother. Shenning waved at the person closest to her. The person next to him stopped and looked around blankly. Here, here. Shenning hurriedly waved her hand in front of his eyes. The person paused for a moment before noticing her presence. Fellow Taoist, what's the matter? Where are you going? Shenning did not hear any news about Chef and Father Niu, so she asked casually. You don't know? The person looked at her in surprise. We are naturally heading to the Lingtai Mountain to attend the Great Dharma Assembly. We are going to listen to Supreme Divinity Hongyu's Tao lecture. Supreme Divinity Hongyu? Who? Supreme Divinity only opens a Tao hall once every 1,000 years, and each time, it's only for 3 days. The person explained excitedly. Supreme Divinity's dharmic powers are very strong. Everyone who listened to his Tao lecture benefited greatly, and their cultivation levels increased greatly. That's why everyone is so anxious to get a good seat on the Lingtai Mountain. I also specially rushed over from the north. Are there many people going to this great Dharma assembly? Of course. He nodded vigorously. In the entire divine underworld, who doesn't want to receive Supreme Divinity's guidance? Not to mention the divine races. Even the wild spirits can be enlightened by him. It's not impossible for them to step into the great Tao. Oh, little girl, I have to go first. If I'm late, there will be too many people. I'm afraid I won't be able to squeeze up the mountain. Thank you. You're welcome. He nodded kindly at her, then sped up and flew away on his cloud. Exalted goddess, do you want to go to that great Dharma assembly? The black dragon turned to look at Shining, who was sitting on his cloud. Shining nodded. There should be many people at the public class. It would also be convenient for her to put up a missing person notice or something. What the hell was a public class? The black dragon did not dare to ask. He obediently sped up and flew in the direction of the crowd. The longworm flew very quickly. In a short while, a huge floating mountain suddenly appeared between the clouds in front of them. It was different from the majestic heavenly palaces in the immortal world. The entire floating mountain was surrounded by 7-colored divine light, as if it was glowing. It was especially eye-catching. There was also a moving sea of clouds at the bottom of the mountain. A bridge made of lotus flowers extended from the bottom of the mountain to the huge lotus platform in front of them. The lotus platform was very wide, and there were already many immortals standing on it. At a rough estimate, there were thousands of them. Every one of them was surrounded by blue god power. The only difference was the amount. Most of the divine races maintained their human forms, but there were also some who looked like beasts that Shining had never seen before. So many divine races. The black dragon's eyes widened. He scanned the beast-shaped people one by one, his face full of surprise. This was the first time he saw so many different divine races. The strange thing was that there was no dragon race in the middle. The scene was very lively. Although there were many people, they were very orderly. They all lined up according to the order in which they came. There were no signs of arguing or queue-cutting. The scene was very harmonious. This was indeed the highest level of the divine world. Exalted goddess? The black dragon stopped in the air and looked inquiringly at Shining. Let's line up first. She pointed downwards. The two of them fell at the back of the line. Long worm mask. She pointed at the people who were falling behind. All right. The black dragon immediately went forward and asked the people at the back of the line. Unfortunately, they still did not get any clues. They could only go in and ask. The line advanced very quickly. In a short while they were already at the front. Only then did they realize that there was a huge array in front of the lotus platform. But there was no one guarding it. There were only a few rows of dazzling golden words floating in the air beside it. Beer Platform Dharma Assembly. Education without discrimination. Apart from the dragon race. Shining. Black dragon. Why did they discriminate against the dragon race? What did they do? And the 4 words at the back, they were obviously added later, right? They were obviously smaller, weren't they? Chapter 241. Exalted. Exalted Goddess. The black dragon turned to look at Shening. What do we do? Don't worry, let's go in first. Shening gave him a look and lowered her voice. No one recognized you as a dragon just now anyway. Is it really possible? Don't worry, it's all right. Shening patted her chest and promised. After some thought she added, I'm here, what's there to be afraid of? That's right, there's still the exalted goddess. The black dragon made up his mind and stepped into the door. In an instant, there was a series of swishing sounds. More than 10 spirit swords appeared all around and landed under the black dragon's legs, surrounding him in the middle. The red light under his feet shone brightly. At the same time, thousands of swords appeared above his head. The swords were aimed at him and rained down on him. The black dragon. Everyone. What happened to being fine? The black dragon was a dragon after all. Although the sword array came suddenly, he reacted very quickly. He subconsciously transformed into his dragon form and rushed forward, dodging the sword rain in time. In an instant, a huge black dragon appeared on the lotus road in front of him. The gods who were just chatting and greeting each other fell dead silent. Thousands of eyes were fixed on the black dragon. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Dragon! It's a dragon! No one knew who shouted, but for a moment, everyone seemed to be ignited. They all stared at it with their eyes wide open. Black dragon, it's a black dragon. It must be the one supreme divinity is looking for. Catch him. Instantly, everyone present seemed to have been ignited. They took out their dharma artifacts and cast their arts. A huge sea of people pressed towards the darkness. Even the Lingtai mountain, which was not far away, flew out in an instant. The black dragon could only summon lightning to attack the dharma artifacts in the air. He looked at Shening. Well, what do we do? Save me. Shening scanned the crowd in front of her and said decisively, Run! In the next moment, there was a whoosh and a cloud of dust rose from the lotus platform. There were too many people. Fighting was tiring. The black dragon. Didn't he say that he would protect him? The black dragon didn't even have time to feel sad. He slapped the person beside him away with his tail and turned to chase after him, running for his life. The onlookers. What a fast figure, but why was he running towards the supreme divinity's Lingtai mountain? Walk right into the trap. Just as the two of them were about to reach the foot of the Lingtai mountain, a golden lotus suddenly descended from the sky. With a clang, the petals instantly closed and wrapped around the black dragon. The black dragon was caught off guard and crashed head first into the petals. Instantly, he felt stars before his eyes, and all the divine power in his body was sealed. Outside the lotus, Shening. Shit. He got the wrong way. The black dragon. Why was he the one who was hurt? Why was it always him? Lingtai Mountain Flamboyant Hall. An oppressive pressure filled the entire hall. A dozen or so heavenly gods with unfathomable cultivation bases sat on either side, each of them glaring furiously at the black dragon trapped in the lotus. How dare you, evil dragon! You destroyed the supreme divinity's divine mystic stone, and you still dare to behave atrociously on the Lingtai mountain. Do you know your crimes? A person on the right walked out and looked at him furiously. What divine mystic stone? The black dragon hesitated for a moment, then glared at them angrily. It's my fault for barging in, but don't try to frame me. You still dare to quibble. That person's expression turned cold. He immediately used a spell, and a water mirror appeared in the hall. On it, an image could be seen faintly. Do you recognize this place? The black dragon took a closer look and realized that it seemed to be a forest. The lush greenery looked a little familiar, especially the pile of gravel on the ground. Wait a minute. Wasn't this the stone that exalted goddess Shin slapped him into previously? He could even vaguely see the groove in the pile of gravel, where his original shape was. The divine mystic stone that he was stuck in belonged to that supreme divinity. I have indeed been to this place before. The black dragon coughed and said, But this stone was not broken by me. The divine mystic stone in this bewitching forest was placed here by Supreme Divinity Hongyu. He personally set up an array to nourish it. That person snorted coldly, and his voice became even more furious. I went to take a look. The remnant aura in the gravel was your aura. If it was not you, then who did it? It's... The black dragon choked. He did not dare to say who it was. Oh, it's me. Shening raised her hand. Who? That person was shocked. He looked around before noticing the woman standing beside the black dragon. Who are you? When did you barge in? It was not just him. All the gods in the hall were shocked. In order to prevent the black dragon from escaping, there was an isolation array outside the hall, so that no one could enter. When did this woman appear? They actually did not notice at all. I've been here all along. Shen Ying's mouth twitched. Ever since they caught the black dragon and brought him in. The person who asked the question's expression darkened. He scanned her from head to toe, and realized that there was not a trace of god power in her body. He immediately relaxed. With such low god power, it was no wonder that they did not notice her. Little girl, what do you mean by what you said just now? That stone. Shen Ying pointed at the water mirror. Maybe. I was the one who smashed it. The black dragon immediately said obsequiously, You can't blame the exalted goddess for this. Your stone is too weak. The exalted goddess smashed it with a light punch. How dare you call it the divine mystic stone? You're saying that it was this woman who smashed the divine mystic stone directly? That person's expression darkened even more. He looked at the black dragon coldly. That's right. Nonsense. That person became even more furious. He slammed the table and stood up. You black dragon, you have no sense of shame. You destroyed the Supreme Divinity's divine mystic stone first. Not only do you not know how to repent, you even tried to make connections with her? Hey, I'm telling the truth. Shut up. The divine mystic stone is the hardest divine stone in the divine underworld. Even the true fire of the phoenix race might not be able to refine it. How could it be smashed with one punch? Do you think I'm blind? You're really blind. The more he spoke, the angrier he became. He looked like he wanted to smash the black dragon's head. Even the other gods beside him started to criticize the black dragon. I didn't think that the dragon race of the 4 great divine races would have such a shameless dragon. That's right, a bunch of lies. In order to escape punishment, he actually made up such an excuse. That little girl looks like a little god who just ascended to the deity position. How could she have such god power? This unrepentant evil dragon must be dealt with severely. That's right. The Supreme Divinity is coming to preach soon. This matter must be resolved before he returns. The Black Dragon. In this day and age, no one believed the truth. Shunning. I can only help you this much. Fellow Taoists, how do you think we should deal with this dragon? The person at the head of the left stepped forward and asked the gods with cupped fists. Chapter 242. Everyone looked at each other for a while, and after a while, they began to speak one after another. The Supreme Divinity Mystic Rock has been raised by the divinity for tens of thousands of years. This dragon has committed grave sins. We cannot let it off easily. That's right. It's a dragon. Today, we work together to get the Supreme Divinity's golden lotus to take it down. If we don't punish it now, who knows what evil it will do in the future? But we can't hurt it. Why don't we hand it over to the Supreme Divinity? No, the Supreme Divinity has always been soft-hearted. What if this black dragon deceives the Supreme Divinity, and she lets it go? The deities were silent for a while, and looked at the black dragon with disdain. Scapegoat dragon. What does this have to do with me? Why don't we send it to the Dragon Valley? The person on the right suddenly said. No. The person on the left immediately objected. Isn't sending it to the Dragon Valley releasing a tiger back into the mountains? The dragon race had always been self-centered. They would not care about this matter. I mean, send it to the Dragon Abyss in the Dragon Valley. As soon as he finished speaking, the eyes of everyone in the hall lit up. That's great. That's right. Hasn't the Supreme Divinity in the Dragon Abyss been looking for a male dragon of the same race for the past 1,000 years? Sending this black dragon over is perfect. He has just ascended. The supreme divinity will definitely be pleased. That's right. The supreme divinity is very powerful. This black dragon will not be able to do anything to her. Since that's the case, it's decided. Hurry up and send it away. The supreme divinity is about to preach. Don't let him see this dragon. Wait. What do you want? The black dragon suddenly had a bad feeling. It wanted to rush out, but was trapped by the golden lotus. It could not exert any strength. Let me go. The deities ignored it. 2 of them even walked over quickly. Each of them cast a spell and lifted the black dragon trapped in the golden lotus. Then they walked out. The black dragon could not move at all. It could only be pulled along with the golden lotus. I'm warning you. Let go of me. Otherwise, you'll suffer when I come out. The 2 of them turned a deaf ear to it and dragged it impatiently towards an array. In a flash, the few of them left the Lingtai mountain and arrived at another world. The weather was getting hotter, and they were surrounded by withered grass and trees. The 2 of them pulled the black dragon and flew for a while before stopping in front of a huge volcano. The ground beneath their feet was covered in lava. The 2 of them tossed the black dragon down from the clouds and untied the golden lotus on the black dragon's body. Then they turned around and flew away. It was as if they were running away from something. In an instant they had disappeared. The black dragon lost its balance and almost fell into the ground again. Fortunately, Xining, who had been following by its side, pulled it up in time to prevent its face from hitting the ground. Thank you, exalted goddess. The black dragon thanked her with a bitter expression. But, exalted goddess, can you not pull my tail next time? Half of it was already gone. It really hurt. You're all right. He had gotten used to it. The black dragon rubbed his tail, feeling wronged. He glanced at Xining and asked, Exalted goddess, why didn't you beat them up just now? She promised to protect him. Because, Xining said seriously, I'm in the wrong. No matter what, she was the one who broke the rock. She emphasized, I'm a reasonable person. Moreover, she was not the one who took the blame. The black dragon. Why is your way of reasoning different from mine? Oh, greater than over equal to. Oh, the black dragon looked around. He could feel the thick dragon chi around him, making him feel extremely comfortable. Even the wound on his tail was healing automatically. He was even more confused. To a dragon, this seemed like a good place. Why did they throw me here? Didn't they say they were going to punish him? There was no reason for them to send him to such a good place. Xining shook her head. Just as she was thinking about it, a surprised voice suddenly sounded. There's a newcomer. A gust of wind blew past them. 2 women, one in white and one in green, suddenly landed in front of them. They were looking in the direction of the black dragon with shining eyes. That's great. It's a male dragon. Let's send him to the dragon palace. All right. The other woman in green said excitedly. Supreme Divinity has been in a bad mood recently. It's just right to send him there. Yes, yes, yes. Although he's a little ugly and lacks a tail fin. The woman in white scanned the black dragon from head to toe. Supreme Divinity probably won't mind. With that said, the 2 of them walked towards the black dragon. Who are you 2? The black dragon immediately got up, swung his tail, and roared at the 2. What do you want? Of course we want to send you to the Dragon Palace to be Supreme Divinity's husband's servant. The woman in green said matter-of-factly. Didn't you enter the Dragon Abyss for this? Husband's servant. SB, what the hell? The black dragon felt that his male dignity was being insulted. His eyes widened and he scolded. Who wants to be someone's husband's servant? I'm a dignified dragon. How can anyone think that way? Wait a minute. Could it be that the people who captured him sent him here to make him a ghost husband's servant? Could there really be a perverted supreme divinity in the Dragon Abyss who specialized in capturing male dragons? Damn, he did not want to be someone's boy toy. You black dragon, why are you so unreasonable? The woman in green glared at him with some dissatisfaction. You're already in the Dragon Abyss. Are you not here to be Supreme Divinity's husband's servant? Are you here to have fun? I was kidnapped and brought here. The black dragon was angry and annoyed. Your supreme divinity must be too ugly to marry. You want me to marry her? Dream on. I sell my skills, not my body. How dare you? The two girls were angry. They pointed at him and said, How dare you be rude to supreme divinity? The black dragon was also angry. Get lost. Otherwise I'll eat you. With that said, he prepared to pounce on the two girls. His dragon claws were about to grab them. The two girls' expressions turned cold. Suddenly, their bodies shook, and in the next moment, they turned into two huge dragons, one green and one white. Their bodies looked even bigger than the black dragon. Huh. They were dragons too. The black dragon was stunned. Before he could react, he was directly suppressed by the two dragons. His entire body was pressed to the ground. Where did this country bumpkin come from? How dare you be rude to supreme divinity? Humph. You're just a crippled dragon without a tail. How dare you talk big about marrying supreme divinity? Dream on. To be able to be a servant and warm supreme divinity's bed is a blessing from my previous life. That's right. Why would supreme divinity fancy a lowly dragon like you? You don't know your place. Beat him up. The black dragon howled miserably as it was grabbed. For a moment, its black scales fluttered in the air. Ow. I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Exalted goddess. Exalted goddess. Save me, exalted goddess. They're dragons too. Save me. Save me. Shunning. Can't you learn from your mistakes? Shunning sighed. She turned around and grabbed the tails of the two dragons with each hand. Girls, calm down. Just as she was about to pull them off the black dragon, a cold voice came from behind. What's the commotion? Chapter 243. A scorching aura hit them in the face. The surroundings were dyed fiery red. A fire dragon formed from lava appeared in front of them. A woman dressed in red stood on the dragon's head. Her long hair was tied up high, and light blue divine power surrounded her body. She seemed to have deliberately restrained it. From afar, one could feel an oppressive power. Her aura was astonishing. What was important was her face. She was extremely beautiful, but had a rare heroic spirit. Wow. She looked like a mature sister. The black dragon was stunned. For a moment it forgot to struggle. Greetings, supreme divinity. The two dragons that were pressing down on it and rubbing the dragon's scales stopped. In an instant, they transformed back into the two cute girls from before. They obediently bowed to the person on the fire dragon, their eyes filled with joy. Supreme divinity, you're back so soon? The woman nodded. She glanced at the two of them and slowly walked down from the fire dragon. Every move she made carried the suppressive power of a high-level divine. The moment she landed, the fire dragon behind her turned back into ordinary lava. What happened here? She glanced at the dragon's scales on the ground and frowned slightly. Supreme divinity, the woman in green said. We found a black dragon that broke in. We wanted to send him to the dragon palace. But not only was he unwilling, he even spoke disrespectfully to supreme divinity. We were so angry that the woman's gaze fell on the black dragon. Black dragon? The black dragon did not reply. It was as if its acupuncture points had been hit. It stared blankly at the woman above it. So beautiful. The dragon chi on his body. The woman suddenly frowned. She looked at the lingering spirit chi on the black dragon's body. So he's a little dragon that just ascended from the lower realm. Forget it. She sighed and waved her hand. He must have broken in unintentionally. Let him go. But supreme divinity, according to the rules of the dragon abyss, any dragon that enters has to be tested. The girl in green wanted to say something, but was interrupted by the woman. She said sternly, I'm not one to force others to do something they don't want to do. Since he's unwilling, let him out of the dragon abyss. Without another word, the lava under her feet once again formed a fire dragon. She turned and flew in the direction of the hall, at the foot of the volcano. Yes. The two girls bowed respectfully, and waited until the red-clothed girl walked away. Only then did the two of them turn and glare at the black dragon fiercely, their faces filled with disdain. However, they did not continue to attack. Instead, they pointed at it and coldly said, Humph. Count yourself lucky. The girl in green took a step forward and kicked the black dragon's claw. Our supreme divinity is the dragon with the highest cultivation level in the dragon clan. Furthermore, he possesses the most noble bloodline of the ancient Azure dragon. And he is the dragon god of our race. You're just a mixed-blood dragon from the lower realm. How dare you criticize the Divine Lord? That's right. As expected, there aren't any good dragons out there. You can't defeat the Divine Lord, so you only know how to talk behind the Divine Lord's back. This time, the Divine Lord has ordered us to let you go. If you dare to disrespect the Divine Lord again, we'll beat you up every time we see you. The two of them reprimanded the black dragon for a bit, but seeing that the black dragon didn't reply, they pointed to the right and said, "The way out is over there. Get out of the dragon abyss." After saying that, he turned around and flew away. The black dragon, on the other hand, was unusually well-behaved. He didn't retort, let alone explode in anger. He just stared blankly in the direction the group had left in, as if he had been struck dumb. "Long worm, you're still alive. Long worm, long worm." Shenning called out a few times, but the black dragon didn't react at all. He continued to stare in the direction of the volcano, as if he was frozen in place. "Hey!" Shenning walked to the side of the dragon's head and waved her hand in front of his eyes. "Wake up. You haven't been beaten, silly, have you? Exalted goddess." The black dragon suddenly jumped up and transformed back into his human form. His eyes shone like light bulbs. "Tell me, if I agree to be her servant now, do I still have a chance?" King retard. Are you a freaking masochist? Exalted goddess, why don't we go to the Dragon Valley and ask around? I don't even know her name. Maybe she's... I'm not going. Shenning rejected him instantly. Exalted goddess. The black dragon's entire body became listless. Tears welled up in his eyes as he hugged her leg. "This is the first time I've met a girl I like. If I miss this chance, I might not get another chance in the future. Can you bear to let me not find a wife for the rest of my life?" "Of course I can." Did he have to be so direct? Exalted goddess, I'll go and ask around. If she doesn't accept, we'll come back immediately. The black dragon continued to persuade her. What's more, the dragon chi here is very thick. There should be many dragons here. It would be convenient for Exalted Goddess to ask around. "I'm not going. It would be better to go back to the map." Exalted Goddess, just listen to me this once. One look, and you can tell that the inside of the volcano is an important place for the dragon race. Although it looks scary on the outside, there's a whole new world inside. There might be all kinds of rare treasures and divine stones, strange flowers and fruits, rare delicacies and the like. Exalted Goddess, are you sure? Where's she? Exalted Goddess. Exalted Goddess. Why are you standing there like a fool? Let's go. Shenning waved a hand in front of her. Why didn't you say so earlier that there was food to eat? The black dragon's mouth twitched. He quickly followed her. All right, Exalted Goddess. No problem, Exalted Goddess. Please go this way, Exalted Goddess. That's the way back. Oh! Shenning turned around and walked in the direction of the volcano. As she walked, she muttered to herself. Also, I was going to break up with you and look for Chef on my own. It looks like we still have to work together for a while. What? Nanny, what did he just hear? Break up. The Exalted Goddess was going to set him free. No. Exalted Goddess, listen to my explanation. It's not too late to break up now. Also, Long Worm, why don't you change your clothes? Don't use your scales as clothes. It's fine if it's just your butt in the past. But now your entire lower body is naked. Won't you catch a cold? Pfft. He could vaguely see a pillar of blood spurting out, which did not fall for a long time. At the top of the Ling Tai mountain, a white-haired elder stood beside a pool. A water mirror floated in front of him. He laughed softly and suddenly spoke. We haven't seen each other for 10,000 years. Why are you suddenly sending me a voice transmission? Asking about someone? A cold voice came from the water mirror in front of him. It sounded like a heavenly voice. The surface of the mirror rippled. A white-robed man's figure could be vaguely seen. The elder's smile deepened. Who's so important? Thank you for asking personally. A black dragon, the voice replied. He probably just ascended recently. Black dragon, the elder thought for a moment. I heard that a few days ago, a black dragon broke into the Lingtai mountain. It seems to be the one that destroyed my divine mystic stone not long ago. However, before the Dharma assembly began, he was sent to the dragon abyss for punishment by the gods, who came to listen to the Dharma assembly. Could it be that you are friends with this dragon? The person in the mirror frowned. You don't have to worry. Others may not know, but you should know what that person in the dragon abyss is like. I'm sure he won't make things difficult for him. The elder comforted. If you really have something urgent, I'll send someone to get him back. Chapter 244. No need. The person in the mirror replied. We're just old acquaintances. I suddenly thought of asking. The image in the mirror started to fade and was about to disappear. Wait. The old man seemed to recall something and hurriedly said, You're not still at the 1,000-feet mountain, are you? The person in the mirror did not reply. It was as if she was admitting it. AI, why do you have to do this? The old man sighed. I think that exalted God Qianyu is not lying to you. He really doesn't know. Why do you have to stay there and force him to tell you? Even if he really doesn't know. The person in the mirror lowered her voice, as if she had been wronged. She will definitely appear. You. The old man was speechless. A moment later he shook his head. Forget it. I hope you can really find the person you're looking for. The other party did not reply. The mirror slowly shook and turned into a stream of water that fell into the pool below. The old man stroked his beard and sighed again. AI, people at this age. Dragon Palace. The woman on the high seat looked at the messenger with some surprise. Black dragon? Is it the little black dragon, who just ascended to the divine underworld in the dragon abyss? Supreme divinity, it is indeed him. Didn't he say he was unwilling just now? Why is he here now? Long Zhen frowned, and a look of displeasure flashed across her face. Is he afraid that I will blame him? Tell him that I will not make things difficult for him. I don't need a husband like him. Yes. The maidservant was about to leave when another lady, standing beside her, stopped her. Wait. The lady cupped her fists towards Long Zhen. Supreme divinity. All these years, we've tried all sorts of methods. No matter how high the cultivation of the dragon race was, we've all failed. Perhaps young master's matter has nothing to do with cultivation. This black dragon has just ascended. Perhaps we'll bump into him. There's no harm in trying, right? But he just ascended and he's a black dragon. Long Zhen hesitated. Supreme divinity, we can wait, but young master can't. Her expression turned even more serious. A moment later, she sighed and turned to the maidservant. Forget it. Let's try. Bring him to the dragon pool. I'll be there in a while. Yes. Only then did the maid leave. He agreed. The black dragon couldn't believe his ears. This was the first time he had fallen in love with a girl. It was a pity that the start was not very good. He thought that the other party would definitely be angry with him. But it turned out that he was just trying his luck and begging the exalted deity to let him come. He didn't expect the other party to agree immediately. He wasn't dreaming, right? When he thought of that woman just now, although he was just a husband servant with no status, at least he had the opportunity to get close to her. Perhaps they would develop feelings over time and become official. Exalted. Exalted goddess. Exalted goddess. He tugged at Shenying's sleeve excitedly. She agreed. Did you hear that? She agreed. Oh. Shenying, who was sitting in the living room, was pulled by him. She took a bite of the fruit in her hand, which she hadn't eaten for a long time. She held the plate full of fruit in her other hand tightly and moved it to the side. Cherish food and stay away from the love brain. In the past, when he was a flood dragon, the other flood dragons said that it was very difficult to chase after a wife, and that he had to be prepared to risk his life. Now it seemed that it wasn't that difficult. He was indeed a special dragon. Please follow me to the rising dragon pool. The supreme divinity wants to see you, the maidservant said. So soon? The black dragon was shocked. He didn't expect to see his sweetheart so soon. Good. He was about to ask Shining to get up when the maidservant added, "The Supreme Divinity has something to ask you. She wants to see you alone." The black dragon hurriedly looked at Shining. He hesitated for a moment before saying tentatively, "Exalted goddess, why don't you rest first and I'll be back soon?" "Oh," Shining responded, still munching on her fruit seriously. "I'll be back soon." Seeing that she didn't object, the black dragon immediately followed the maidservant. Shining didn't mind. She hadn't eaten for a long time. She was so hungry. The fruit was a little sour. It wasn't as good as the ones from Invincible Sect. She kept feeling like she missed Chef. The maidservant led the black dragon straight in the direction of the rear hall. It was as if they had entered an isolated area, and the surrounding temperature was getting higher and higher. Even the dragon race could feel a trace of scorching heat. The maidservant only stopped when they reached a passageway and gestured for him to enter. The black dragon didn't mind. He thanked her politely, which was rare. Then, he turned and walked into the passageway. The air was getting hotter and hotter. The deeper he went, the hotter it got. The black dragon couldn't help but feel confused. Why did the extremely beautiful Supreme Divinity ask him to come to a place like this? The next moment, his eyes opened up. This seemed to be the center of a volcano. There was a pool of lava in front of him. From time to time, pillars of fire would shoot up from it. Long Zhen stood beside the pool of lava. Compared to her formal attire earlier, she was wearing a thin shirt. She looked even more exquisite. The black dragon took one look and felt his body stiffen. His heart seemed to be cursed. It was thumping nonstop. So beautiful. Suddenly, a hot current was about to burst out. He hurriedly tilted his head back to hold it in. He had a nosebleed. He had to leave a good impression on his future wife. That was what he thought, but he couldn't help but look at her. Speaking of which, he seemed to be here to be her servant. Then it was normal for him to look at her a few more times. "You're here." Long Zhen glanced at him. Her voice was still cold. Like before, she nodded and said, "Come here." "So fast." "Huh? Air." The black dragon froze. He tried to get rid of the messy images in his head. "I mean, you're looking for me?" The black dragon took a few steps closer to her. The more he looked, the faster his heart beat. His head was buzzing. "Yes." Long Zhen nodded. She still had that serious expression on her face. She scanned him from head to toe and asked, "I want to confirm with you again. Are you really willing to be my servant?" "Of course." He nodded vigorously. "Since that's the case." Long Zhen looked him up and down. A hint of worry flashed across her face. "There are some things I need to tell you first. Once you become my servant, you can't go back on your word. You also have to stay in the dragon abyss. You can't leave without permission." The black dragon suddenly had the urge to smooth her brows. He subconsciously replied, "Okay, I will teach you a special cultivation technique. You have to practice it with me. You can't slack off. Are you willing?" "Yes. This cultivation technique is special. You have to practice it for at least 2 hours every day without stopping. Can you endure it?" "Yes. You can't be too far away from me when you practice it. You also have to change back to your original form." "I'll listen to you." In that case, she seemed to heave a sigh of relief. She scanned him from head to toe. "Take off your clothes." "Okay. A while later." "What?" Chapter 245. The black dragon froze. Did she have to be so direct? "Your clothes are not made of dragon scales. It's useless even if you wear them. Anyway, you have to take them off." Long Zhen said seriously. "Oh." Since the girl had taken the initiative to speak, the black dragon gritted his teeth and took off his shirt, leaving only his pants on, revealing his muscular body. Long Zhen glanced at his long pants and frowned. "Take off your pants too. That's not good, right?" The black dragon's face turned red. He instinctively grabbed his pants. If he took them off, they would be locked up. "Forget it, let's do it." Long Zhen saw his hesitation and did not rush him. "Let's begin." With that, she reached out a hand to him. The black dragon's entire body turned as red as a shrimp. His heart felt like it was about to jump out of his chest. He could not help but reach out his trembling hand. It looked like he was about to grab this jade-like hand. Long Zhen suddenly turned her palm and grabbed his wrist. Then she swung her hand forcefully. What? The black dragon only heard a gust of wind beside his ears. His entire body was thrown into the air. A huge dragon aura pressed down on him, forcing him back into his dragon form. Were all dragon ladies so direct? He didn't have time to react, and a scorching aura immediately hit him in the face. He looked down subconsciously, only to see a huge pool of lava below him. The boiling lava was bubbling, and he was falling straight into the middle. Ah! The black dragon jumped in fright and screamed. For a moment, he forgot about the cloud-soaring sorcery. What was going on? I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Just as he was about to fall into the lava, a burst of light suddenly flashed, and he stopped less than 5 feet away from the lava. Rumbling sounds could be heard as something rose up from the lava below him. There was a huge ball on top of it, and it rose to the position of the formation, pressing against his dragon abdomen. The black dragon did not have time to react. His body seemed to be out of his control. He wrapped himself tightly around the ball. It's getting late. You can familiarize yourself with its aura first. Long Zhen's worried voice came from below. Tomorrow, I will teach you how to hatch it. Please try your best and hatch my child as soon as possible. Hatch? What? He looked down and saw a snow-white object stuck tightly to his belly. It was round and big, with a faint dragon aura, and there were layers of dragon patterns on it. This was a dragon egg. All he felt was a ding in his head, and all the fan bubbles disappeared with a pop. Only then did he realize what had happened. Could it be that she was looking for her husband just to incubate eggs? And it was her son. W. 2 hours later, in the front hall. Exalted Goddess. A figure pounced on Xining, who was sitting on a chair. His voice was filled with grief. Even Xining, who had eaten 5 plates of fruits, was shocked. She subconsciously lifted her leg and stepped on his face, causing his face to sink into the ground. What the hell? It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Exalted Goddess, it's me, it's me. The person on the ground hurriedly slapped the ground and begged for mercy. Longworm. Xining lifted her foot and glanced at the disheveled man, who was pulling his head out of the ground. She had only been eating fruits. How did he end up like this? She looked down. Why was his pants torn? Was it cool? What's wrong with you? The black dragon was stunned. Suddenly, he remembered something sad and became listless. Exalted Goddess. So Long Zhen is that supreme divinity. She doesn't like me at all. Sob, 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 sob. Oh, did anyone doubt that? The more he spoke, the sadder he became. He wanted to hug Xinying's leg for comfort, but was kicked away again. She took me in as her husband just to incubate her eggs. Oh, she even wanted me to incubate for 4 hours every day until they hatch. Oh, I didn't expect her to have an egg. I don't have a chance anymore. Sob, 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 sob. I'm so sad. Oh, I heard that the egg hasn't hatched even after hundreds of thousands of years. Maybe I'll have to incubate for hundreds of thousands of years too. The key is someone else's son. Oh, that's not all. That egg is huge and heavy. There's another dragon's aura on it. I'm actually not her only egg-incubating dragon. Air. Is that what you care about? Exalted Goddess. Seeing that Xining had no intention of comforting him, the black dragon's heart ached even more. I've been gone for so long. Don't you have anything to say? He looked up pitifully. His expression was one of comfort, concern and hug. The corner of Xinying's mouth twitched. She sighed and said, Long worm. Pitiful, pitiful, pitiful. Was the egg you incubated white? Yes. The black dragon paused. It was about the same size as your human form. The one with silver patterns on it? Yes. How did the exalted goddess know? Then, Xining pointed outside the door. Was it the same as the one behind you? Ha! Black Dragon was taken aback. She subconsciously turned around and saw a huge egg rolling in from outside the door. It was heading in their direction at an extremely fast speed. Dragon! Dragon! Dragon egg! The black dragon's eyes widened. Why is it? Ouch! Before he could finish speaking, the dragon egg seemed to have rolled too fast and directly knocked into the black dragon's body. With a thud, it knocked him away and stopped steadily in front of Shening. Shening scanned the egg, which was as tall as a human. It was indeed a huge egg. But here was the problem. Long worm. She poked at the eggshell and asked seriously, "Can this be eaten?" The smell was so familiar. The black dragon finally reacted. He climbed up from the ground. Exalted goddess, don't joke around. But how did this egg get here? He looked around carefully, but did not find anyone else's aura. Dragon eggs cannot leave the incubation pool for too long. Exalted goddess, what are you doing? You really want to eat it? The black dragon hurriedly grabbed onto a certain person who was climbing up the egg. He held onto her hands tightly. Exalted goddess, I beg you. This really can't be eaten. You can't be eaten. The person who was about to climb up the egg asked, just one bite? Not even one bite. This was her son, not an ordinary egg. Wait. You can't bite it, exalted goddess. Roared suddenly, an angry dragon roar could be heard. The ground shook. Who is it? Who dares to kidnap my son? The black dragon's heart sank. It's over. Not far away, a huge red dragon silhouette shot into the sky. The entire sky seemed to have been set ablaze. It turned into a sea of red. Following that, dragons flew up from all directions. They seemed to be searching for something. That was Long Jun. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Oh, greater than over equal to greater than over equal to, oh. Chapter 246. The black dragon's heart tightened. Seeing that there were more and more dragons in the sky, he hurriedly raised his head and shouted, Supreme divinity, the egg is here. The angry dragon in the sky paused, and then looked towards the front hall. When she saw the egg at the side, her eyes widened. She immediately recognized the person on the ground. It's you. She opened her mouth and let out a dragon roar. Instantly, an overwhelming dragon aura pressed down on them. This was the black dragon's first time facing the supreme divinity's aura head-on. Instantly, he felt a metallic taste in his mouth and almost vomited blood. Knowing that she was angry, he hurriedly explained, Supreme divinity, you've misunderstood. I didn't steal the dragon egg. The dragon in the sky flew down. The other dragons all transformed back into human forms and landed in the yard in front of them. I don't know why the egg rolled here. I was just about to send it back, the black dragon hurriedly explained. But don't worry, the dragon egg is fine. Crack. Before he could finish speaking, he heard something shattering beside him. He suddenly had a bad premonition. He turned to look and saw that the originally pure white eggshell had started to crack from the top. In the blink of an eye, the entire dragon egg was covered in wildfire. More and more of it was spreading. A certain foodie was standing beside the egg, holding on to the top piece of eggshell. The black dragon. Exalted goddess. Can't you trick me one last time? Little dragon. Long Jun screamed. Her eyes widened as she stared at the cracked egg. Instantly, she exploded with anger. I'll kill you. With that, she transformed back into her dragon form. As if she had gone mad with anger, she forgot all about her spells and talents. She opened her mouth and bit down on the two of them, along with the entire front hall. Wait, supreme divinity. The black dragon wanted to say something, but it was too late. The sky filled with dragon aura pressed him to the ground. There was a rumbling sound all around. The front hall collapsed. Sharp dragon teeth pierced through the roof and descended from the sky. They were about to swallow the two people in the house. Shening, who was below, reached out and caught the longest dragon tooth above her head. The dragon's mouth remained open, unable to move. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't close it. She swung her hand to the side, and with a rumble, the giant dragon was thrown to the ground. She pressed her hand on the dragon's head. Long Jun was shocked. She wanted to struggle, but she found that the hand on her head was extremely heavy. Her entire body was suppressed and she could not move. Calm down. An indifferent voice came from above his head, with a slightly lazy tone. Only then did Long Jun see the woman in front of her. She paused, but realized that the woman was not looking at her. Instead, She was looking at the cracked egg beside her. He didn't know if it was because the other party was too calm, but for some reason, the anger he felt from losing his son suddenly disappeared. He followed her gaze and looked at the dragon egg. The egg was still cracking, and the cracks were like a spider web. Finally, with a crack, a piece of eggshell fell off, and a golden light shone from the egg. As more and more eggshell fell, the golden light became brighter and brighter. When the eggshell completely fell off, dazzling golden light spread in all directions. Even the sky that was dyed red by the lava turned a bit golden. This is. Long Zhen looked at the center of the golden light in disbelief. The dragon egg had successfully hatched. In the center, where the golden light was the brightest, a figure slowly formed. In a short while, a figure only as tall as Xin Ying's waist appeared in midair. The next moment, the golden light finally dimmed. Xin Ying subconsciously reached out and caught the falling figure. Looking down, she saw a child who looked about 6 or 7 years old. His eyes were closed, and he lay naked in her arms. He was extremely skinny, and his cheeks were slightly sunken in. He was obviously not as nutritious as the giant egg from before. Here, give it to your son. Xin Ying turned and pushed the child towards the dragon's head. Long Zhen's reaction was extremely fast. In an instant, she returned to her human form and received the child. She looked at the child in her arms excitedly and nervously. Long, you're finally out. She hurriedly took out a long robe and wrapped it around the child's body. She looked at the child in her arms carefully, and a look of confusion flashed across her face. He can already transform. Why is he so weak? Maybe he's been holding it in for too long, Xin Ying suddenly replied. She waved the piece of eggshell in her hand. Long Zhen paused, then reacted. She immediately understood what Xin Ying meant. I'm sorry. Long Zhen has misunderstood you. Long was too weak. There was no way he could break out of the eggshell on his own. He could only break it from the outside. But the dragon race had always been strong. There was no one who could not break out of the eggshell. The strange thing was that her son could transform into a human form in the egg. Why couldn't he break out of the eggshell naturally? And looking at how weak he was now, if he broke out of the eggshell any later, he might. Long Zhen did not dare to think further. As she channeled God power into the child in her arms, she looked at Xin Ying seriously. Thank you, fellow Taoist, for saving my son's life. How should I address you, benefactor? Oh, my name is Xin Ying replied casually. She continued to look at the eggshell in her hands thoughtfully. Fellow Taoist Shen. Long Zhen looked at her son gratefully. If fellow Taoist doesn't mind, can you stay in the Dragon Palace for a few more days? Let me thank you on behalf of Long. There's no need. She glanced at the child in her arms. I still need to find someone. Oh, who are you looking for? Perhaps Long Yuan can help. Really? Of course. I'm looking for. Exalted goddess. Before they could finish, the black dragon suddenly interrupted. There's no hurry to find someone. You two can talk, but can you not step on me? I'm still on the ground. Xin Ying. Long Zhen. When did he get on the ground? The two of them moved their feet. Long Zhen thought of her son in her arms. Fellow Taoist Shen, my son is too weak now. Let me bring him down to recuperate. I'll tell you more about the search later. All right? All right. Xin Ying nodded. Long Zhen turned around with her son in her arms. She gave some instructions to the maidservants outside, and was about to carry her son to the back palace. She stopped in her tracks and looked down. Her son, who had been sleeping soundly a moment ago, had opened his eyes at some point in time. He reached out a small hand from her arms and grabbed onto Xin Ying's sleeve tightly. Long this is. Xin Ying's sleeve tightened. She paused. What? She was about to retract her hand when the child held on even tighter. He opened his mouth anxiously, as if using all his strength to make a sound. A moment later he said, Master Xin Ying. Long Zhen. The black dragon. What was going on? The three of them were stunned. Even Long Zhen looked confused. She did not understand why her son would suddenly call him master. But she did not feel conflicted. She smiled and said, It looks like my son is fated with you. I have to prepare a big gift in advance. The black dragon could not help but say, This kid really knows how to talk. He knew how to suck up to someone powerful. Shenning frowned. She leaned closer to take a closer look at the skinny child in front of her. Suddenly she said, "Chef?" The child's eyes lit up. It was as if thousands of stars were shining in them. It really was him. She tugged at his little arm and tilted her head. "Can you still cook?" The child, who had just woken up, paused. In the next moment his little face puffed up. Unlike the weak master he had called her just now, he replied clearly, "Yes. What a good chef. Long Jeune." The black dragon. Speaking of which, what did she say just now? Why did he not understand a single word she said? Chapter 247. 4 days later. Chef. Master. What's going on? I don't know. Perhaps it's as the god fiend said. The divine underworld is the highest level of the 3 realms. It's different from the mortal and immortal realms. So it makes sense that there would be some changes. Is there a way to solve this? I'm afraid it'll be difficult. This is the divine underworld after all. Perhaps only when we return to the mortal and immortal realms will it be the same as before. Oh, then what do we do? I will try my best to be the same as before. Oh, then good luck. Shenning nodded and patted the little bean on the shoulder. The divine world actually doesn't have small animals like pigs, cows, and sheep. I can't even get used to eating them. Yes, master. I Ching, who had to move 2 stools to reach the stove, nodded hard. He held the spatula with both hands and waved it with difficulty. This dragon abyss spirit swine has firm meat. It will definitely be able to taste like pork. I'll leave it to you. Yes. Oh yes, add more spiciness. I like spicy food. Yes, master. No problem, master. He waved the spatula even harder. The black dragon watching. What on earth were these 2 doing? Wasn't that Long Zhen's son who was still recuperating? Why did he come here the moment he was able to walk? Why did he bring his own pots and pans and ingredients? And what's with the exalted goddess? It's fine if he doesn't have any sense of shame. But why is he holding a bowl and watching? He's almost drooling. What's with that well-practiced commanding tone? Look carefully. That person who's about to be buried in the pot is a child. A child? Doesn't your conscience hurt? Master, it's done. I Ching finally stopped waving the spatula. His 2 little hands struggled to pick up the plate that was wider than his body. All right, let's eat. Shenning picked up the other dishes and was about to go out when she saw the black dragon standing at the door with a dumbfounded look on his face. Longworm, come and help me carry the dishes. Oh, the black dragon subconsciously responded before walking in. With a stomach full of questions, he picked up the other dishes on the stove. Just as he was about to step out of the door, he noticed that a certain kid was standing on a tall stool, staring at the ground some distance away. His little face was scrunched up. Is he unable to get down? The black dragon hurriedly put down the vegetables in his hands and reached out to him. Why don't I carry? You get down. Before he could finish speaking, he suddenly raised his little hand and made a hand seal. In an instant, a white immortal sword appeared under his feet. With a whoosh, the sword flew in front of him. In the next moment, a soft but somewhat serious voice came from the room. Master, try the stir-fried spirit swine. The black dragon, who was about to reach out with both hands. Do all the children of the dragon race know how to fly swords the moment they are born? The black dragon froze for a while, then picked up the dishes on the stove and walked into the room. The 2 of them were already seated in the house. Perhaps because she was starving, Shenning was devouring more than 10 dishes on the table at lightning speed. Delicious, 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 and Chef, who was sitting on the other side, was holding an empty bowl. He reached out to the bucket of rice beside him, but because of his height, his pair of short hands could not reach it no matter how he stretched out. His little face frowned. He simply stood on the chair and grabbed the bucket of rice. After filling the bowl with difficulty, he turned his hand and very naturally handed it to the person beside him. Master Rice. Oh, a certain someone took it very shamelessly and ate noisily. The black dragon. Why did he feel that this scene was getting weirder the more he looked at it? Did he put it the other way around? 2 hours later. A certain someone who was finally full lay on the table like mud. Indeed, it was necessary to have a chef when going out. This spirit swine tastes good. If we can't find beef or mutton in the divine realm, it's not bad to find some seafood that we haven't eaten before. Yes, master, no problem, master. A certain someone who was still standing on the chair took out a small notebook from somewhere and wrote the word seafood on it. Oh yes, there's also small animals like rabbit meat, chicken meat, duck meat, and so on. A certain someone hugged the little notebook and continued to write, jotting it down. Don't worry, master. Although ingredients in the divine realm are hard to find, and there are no ordinary animals like these in the immortal and mortal realms, I will definitely work hard to find spirit mounts that taste similar to these. All the best, I have high hopes for you. Yes, master. The black dragon became more and more confused. Wait, why was this conversation so strange? Wasn't this child just born? Why did he look like he was very familiar with the mortal and immortal realms? And from the time they started cooking, the two of them had a natural and familiar attitude. From your words, why do you sound like you've known each other for a long time? Yes. Huh. Chef straightened his little body and said with some pride, I'm master's only disciple. He specially emphasized the word only. After thinking for a while, he added, starting from the 3 azure realms. 3 azure realms. The black dragon's eyes widened as he looked him up and down. Stop joking. He was a natural dragon. How could he go to the lower realm? Let's put it this way, he said with a serious expression. My Dao name is I Ching. I Ching. I Ching. The black dragon stood up abruptly. You're the I Ching that exalted goddess is looking for. Isn't that invincible sex? Aren't you Longzhen's son? His little face frowned. Actually, he didn't know either. He turned to look at the person beside him. Shining then got up from the table and looked at Chef, who was several sizes smaller. She said, I forgot to ask, how did you become like this? This matter? I don't know what happened. I Ching shook his little head. After I was transported to the divine realm, I was in that egg. My body suddenly became very weak. Later, I sensed Master's aura and chased after her. Only then did Master let me out. Could it be possession? The black dragon's eyes widened. Ouch. Before he could finish speaking, Shenning hit the back of his head with her chopsticks. No. That's right. This is indeed my body. I Ching nodded affirmatively. Apart from becoming like this, my cultivation, spirit root and meridians are the same as before. This is my previous body. The black dragon. If it wasn't, then it wasn't. Why did she hit him? Then what about Long Zhen's original son? I don't know. He shook his head. When I was in the dragon egg, I was the only one inside. There was no one else's aura. Then what happened? The black dragon looked confused. The more he listened, the more confused he became. That was clearly a dragon egg. It couldn't have been empty from the beginning. I Ching fell silent. He didn't know what was going on either. Shenning poured herself a cup of tea. Suddenly, she nudged the black dragon beside her and said, Long Worm, go and call that person over. Who? The black dragon paused. Shenning pointed at Chef. His mother. Oh. Indeed, if anyone knew about this, it would only be Long Zhen. But, although he understood, why did it sound like she was scolding him? Chapter 248. Long Zhen arrived very quickly. I Ching had just cleared the table when the black dragon brought her in. Sun Long. The moment they entered the room, Long Zhen's cold expression changed. She smiled like a loving mother and appeared in front of I Ching in a flash. She looked him up and down. Why are you here? You've just hatched and you're weak. You've only just woken up. You shouldn't be running around. Even if you want to cultivate as soon as possible, you don't have to be in such a hurry to meet your future master. Right? She adjusted his clothes and reached out to carry him. How are you? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Tell me. I Ching's expression froze. He hurriedly took a few steps back. After putting some distance between them, he cupped his fists and bowed like an adult. Supreme Divinity Long Zhen. Long Zhen paused, then smiled even wider. You're my son indeed. So obedient. She looked proud. But you don't have to do that in front of me. Supreme Divinity Longjun. I Ching tried his best to look serious. Unfortunately, his childish face looked out of place. I might not be your son. Longjun froze. Silly child. What are you talking about? She continued smiling. Don't joke with me. Supreme Divinity, I'm not joking, I Ching said respectfully. My name is I Ching. I'm the only disciple of the invincible sect in the immortal world. He turned to look at the person who was sprawled lazily on the table. Please forgive me, Supreme Divinity. I woke up a few days ago, and did not have time to explain before I went back to sleep. Actually, I did not want to be her disciple. She's my master Shening. Immortal world. Master. I Ching told her everything that had happened. We came to the divine world to look for someone. I don't know why I entered that dragon egg and became like this. But I'm really not your son. Longjun was stunned. She looked at her grown-up son, and Shening beside him. Surprisingly, there was no sadness or anger on her face. Instead, she smiled at him. I see. AI, why didn't you say so earlier? The more she smiled, the happier she became. She glared at him as if she was complaining. I was wondering why you've been so cold to me these past few days. Just as he recovered a little, he disappeared without a trace. So that's how it is. You still remember what happened in your previous life? This time, it was the other's turn to be at a loss. Previous life? What does that mean? Long air. She turned to look at I Ching's face. Her eyes darkened, filled with complicated emotions. It was as if she was looking at something else through him. She did not speak for a long time. This face, it was clearly. I Ching frowned and called out, Supreme Divinity Longjun. Longjun paused for a moment before reacting. She smiled awkwardly and continued. There's no need to doubt it. You are indeed my son. As if she had thought of something, she clenched her fists and hesitated for a while before saying in a low voice, When you were born, you were different from others. The dragon energy on the dragon egg was sparse, and the dragon soul was extremely weak. I heard that the power of reincarnation can nourish your dragon soul, so, you sent him into samsara? Shen Ying's eyes narrowed. Just like Shorty? Yes. She nodded. After I sent his dragon soul into samsara, I searched for male dragons in the clan, and nourished the body inside the dragon egg with dragon energy every day. I had planned to summon his soul back, after his dragon soul had recovered. But I did not expect you to cultivate your mortal body into an immortal body, and come to the divine world. Everyone who goes through samsara will forget their past lives. Even if I summon your dragon soul back to the divine world, you would have to go through samsara again. That's why I thought you had forgotten about it too. She looked at I Ching again, and something flashed across her eyes. But I did not expect you to come back so early. What's more, you ascended directly from the divine world. Whether it's the dragon body in the egg, or your immortal body after reincarnation, they are both your bodies. It's normal for them to be connected. Perhaps because of this, you have become one with the dragon body in the egg. Two became one. Shening and I Ching exchanged a look. But they did not ascend here. They were smuggled here by god fiends. So, you are indeed my long heir. Longjun stepped forward, and looked lovingly at the shrunken I Ching. She exuded the glow of an old mother. I personally sent your dragon soul down to the lower realm. I cannot be wrong. I Ching stiffened. He did not know if he was not used to her overly enthusiastic attitude. But he took another step back. That meant that his previous body had become one with the egg. Was he a human or a dragon now? Why can I still sense the immortal bones in my body, even though my body has become like this? His cultivation level, his spirit root, and even his sword intent were the same as before. There is no dragon power. Longjun's smile deepened. You have never sensed dragon chi before, have you? Dragon chi? I Ching hesitated. He subconsciously released his divine perception. Immediately an unfamiliar aura surged in. He felt his sea of consciousness ring and something open. His body flashed with golden light. The next moment, the little being on the ground disappeared, and a shining golden dragon appeared in the room. In an instant, it broke the roof, and the broken tiles fell to the ground. Master, I Ching subconsciously turned to block Xunying's head. This caused the room to become even more ruined. In an instant, everything fell to the ground. Everything happened too quickly. By the time they reacted, only Long Worm and Long Zhen were left on the ground, their heads covered in dust. The giant dragon had already retreated a short distance away, and was carefully coiling around Xunying. Although the dragon was not as tall as Black Dragon and Long Zhen, its entire body seemed to be bathed in sunlight. It was blinding. Gold, gold, golden dragon. The Black Dragon completely ignored the dust. He opened his mouth and looked at the dragon opposite him in shock. Long Zhen was shocked too. She did not expect her son to be a golden dragon. No wonder. No wonder back then legend had it that golden dragons were the royalty of the dragon race. They were far more powerful than the other dragons. But golden dragons had only appeared in ancient times. I Ching was shocked too. He activated all the immortal qi in his body, and found that it had become even thicker and more shocking. Could this be divine power? Chef. Xunying raised her head. It really was a dragon. Only then did I Ching recover from the shock of his sudden transformation. He tried to use a spell to change back to his human form, but his body shrank and instantly turned into a small dragon that was as tall as a human. Master, I'm not familiar with the control of divine power yet. I can't change back so quickly. He had not gotten used to his dragon form and did not know how to transform. He tried a few times, but could not change back. He could only stand on his two hind legs and pretend that he was walking. Oh, Xunying did not care about this. She only looked at his thin dragon claws. Chef, Master, can you still cook when you're like this? The two dragons. Are you only concerned about your own food? Fu *K. A moment later, a resolute reply came. Yes. As if to prove it, a certain dragon turned and ran into the kitchen that had not collapsed. He grabbed the spatula with one claw, the black dragon. What happened to the royalty of the dragon race? Long Zhen. I might have given birth to a fake son. Chapter 249. The son that Long Zhen had been looking forward to for hundreds of thousands of years was finally back. What's more, he was the legendary golden dragon. Long Zhen felt that this was perfect, if only he did not like to cook so much. She looked at the golden dragon, who had been busy in the kitchen since noon. Long Zhen wanted to stop him. After all, he had just turned back into a dragon and needed more time to cultivate. But because he was doing this out of filial piety towards Master, she could not say anything. So before she knew it, she was already sitting at the table and eating with him. Straight face, Master, have some tea. I Ching, who was still in the form of a little golden dragon, handed a cup of tea to someone who had just finished her afternoon tea. Oh, Xunying accepted it out of habit. She looked at Chef, who was sitting obediently at the side like a cartoon dragon, pressing his claws together. She finally remembered something important. Chef, Master, can't you turn back into a human? I Ching's dragon head drooped. Not yet. Although the black dragon had already told him how to turn back into a human, he was still not familiar with this body. What's more, every time he used his god power, he would feel strangely tired. He just broke out of his shell. His body is weak. It's normal that he can't turn back into a human, Long Zhen explained. Are dragons that weak? Xunying asked. Not really. Long Zhen frowned. Maybe he's different from other dragons. Oh, Master. I Ching suddenly recalled something. I remember that ever since I entered that egg, there seemed to be an aura suppressing me. I could not break out. Also, he frowned. The more I resisted, the weaker my body became. It was very likely because of this that he turned into this child. There's such a thing. Long Zhen was shocked. She stood up and looked him up and down. What aura is that? I Ching shook his head. I don't know either. I know, Xunying suddenly said. The three dragons were shocked and turned to look at her in unison. What did she mean? Xunying took out a white object from her side. Is it this? Everyone was stunned. Even Long Zhen looked curiously at the thing in her hand. It was the piece of eggshell that she had dug out from the dragon egg a few days ago. Exalted goddess, What aura is there on it? The black dragon took a closer look. There was nothing on the eggshell. He's inside. She reached out and tore off the layer of membrane on the inside of the eggshell. Halfway through, a black chi suddenly flashed out of the eggshell. It was extremely fast. Just as it was about to rush out, Shening reached out and grabbed it back. In the next moment, a black smoke-like gas appeared in her hand. It was twisting desperately as if it were alive. It had a cold and gloomy aura, and it would occasionally let out a shrill scream, like the cry of a ghost. The aura became fainter and fainter in her hands, and in a short while, it disappeared. This is the yin chi of a ghost immortal. Longjun was shocked. Her eyes widened, and she stood up abruptly. How can this be? I've been taking care of my son's dragon egg all these years. How can there be a ghost immortal's yin chi hidden inside? What's a ghost immortal? Shening tilted her head. Longjun frowned, her expression exceptionally dark. Ghost immortals are deviant ghosts from the underworld who cultivate to become immortals. Their cultivation methods are very special, and their cultivation techniques are very strange. Many divine races can't do anything to them, but their whereabouts are always uncertain, and they won't easily come to divine territory. Deviant ghosts becoming immortals. It was not just I Ching. Even the black dragon was shocked. Ghosts were living beings. After they died, their grievances would not dissipate, and they would float around the world. Usually, they would only appear in the mortal realm. In short, they were just souls without bodies. And souls were the weakest. No one had ever heard of a ghost being able to cultivate to become an immortal, much less one that could rival divine races. Where do these ghost immortals usually stay? Ghost immortals need to absorb the yin chi of the underworld to cultivate, Longjun said. That's why they usually appear near the Yin River. Supreme Divinity, did you have a feud with a ghost immortal before? I Ching asked. Longjun glanced at I Ching, unhappy with the way he addressed her, but she could only sigh. I don't think so. In these hundreds of thousands of years, I've never left the dragon abyss, and I've never seen a ghost immortal. That was strange. Why would there be yin chi of a ghost immortal in a perfectly good dragon egg? And it happened to suppress I Ching, preventing him from hatching on his own. If Shening had not forcefully broken the eggshell, perhaps he really would not have been able to come out. The Dragon Abyss has never interacted with other places. Even the Dragon Valley rarely interacts. If you're talking about feuding, I don't. She suddenly stopped mid-sentence, as if remembering something. Her face paled and her fists clenched tightly. I just remembered something important. I'm going back to the main hall. I Ching, your body is still very weak. You have to rest more. With that, she nodded at the few of them and hurried out. The few of them looked confused. Shening tilted her head. It looked like Chef's family in his previous life had a story too. After Longjun left, she suddenly became busy. She did not come back for a few days. It was obvious that she was looking for that ghost immortal. These few days, Chef was also trying hard to adapt to his dragon body. He only focused on two things every day: familiarize himself with the circulation of God power, and cook for Shening. Fortunately, he was originally a top student. After trying a few times, he finally succeeded in transforming back into that little bean. Perhaps it was because he had begun to absorb the dragon energy for cultivation. His originally skinny body had finally gained some flesh. He looked like a baby, but he still did not grow in size. The dragon race had always relied on bloodline inheritance. Cultivation methods and whatnot did not need to be taught. He was born with it. The god power in his body began to grow at an alarming rate. In just a few days, he was already catching up to the black dragon. The black dragon felt very depressed. Originally, he wanted to go to Longjun to make his presence known. Unfortunately, he did not see her for a few days, so he could only come back to Shening for comfort. But I Ching guarded against him like a thief. If he took a step closer, the black dragon looked like he wanted to hit him with a spatula. The black dragon felt like he had been abandoned by the whole world. 10 days later, Master, my cultivation has stabilized. I Ching poured a cup of tea and stood on the chair. His little body was almost lying on the table. Then he passed the cup of tea to Shening. The other party took it with a natural expression, took a sip and said, "Are you ready?" "Yes." "Oh, what about the dishes?" "I've prepared them for half a month." "Pastries?" 20-odd kinds. "Fruits?" 2 storage bags should be enough." "All right." Shenning then stood up lazily. "Let's go." I Ching jumped down from the chair. Seeing the 2 figures, one tall and one short, about to leave, the black dragon finally reacted. "Wait." He blocked the 2 of them. "Where are you going?" Chapter 250. I Ching frowned and looked at him coldly. "The Ain River of the underworld." "Get out of my way, you little bastard." "Ain River?" Black Dragon was taken aback. "Why are you going there? When did you decide that? Why don't I know anything about it? I don't even know you. Not familiar." The Black Dragon felt as if his heart had been stabbed by a knife. He looked at Shen Ying and cried, "Exalted goddess! Didn't you say I'm your little cutie?" "We're going to look for Shorty," Shen Ying explained. "Shorty? Who?" The Black Dragon was stunned. After a while, he remembered that this was one of the 3 people that the Exalted Goddess was looking for. "Exalted Goddess, you know where she is?" "Yes." Shen Ying nodded. The Ain Chi on the eggshell was exactly the same as the one on the flower in Shorty's room. In the netherworld, the Black Dragon was still confused. He glanced at I Ching, who was acting like a child. But Long Zhen is not back yet. I will let her know," I Ching said. "But..." Black Dragon was about to say something when a maidservant rushed in and bowed to I Ching. She said anxiously, "Young master, bad news." In order to avenge the young lord, Divinity single-handedly went to Wu Chi Mountain. "Wu Chi Mountain?" I Ching's expression darkened. "Speak clearly. What happened?" Supreme Divinity said that the Ain Chi on the young master's eggshell might be related to the Phoenix clan. So in a fit of anger, the maidservant stamped her feet anxiously, her face full of anxiety. "The Phoenix clan has always been unreasonable. I'm afraid that Supreme Divinity will be at a disadvantage if you go there." I Ching clenched his fists and turned to look at the person beside him. "Master, let's go to the West Mountain first." *******. Wu Chi Mountain was the headquarters of the Phoenix clan, and the Dragon clan and the Phoenix clan had always been at odds with each other. The Dragon race couldn't stand the arrogant attitude of the Phoenix race, and the Phoenix race couldn't stand the fact that the Dragon race had all kinds of bloodlines, and that all kinds of dragons, snakes, and fishes could become dragons. Therefore, although they were both of the god race, the 2 races never had any friendly relations. But Long Zhen was not an unreasonable person. She was so angry that she rushed to Wu Chi Mountain to seek revenge. She must have found something. Perhaps it was because he had become a divine being, but I Ching's flying speed was much faster than before. In addition, the Dragon Abyss had a transportation array that was connected to the Phoenix clan. In less than an hour, they arrived at the Phoenix clan's territory. Before they even reached Wu Chi Mountain, they could see lightning flashing and thunder roaring in the distance. Not far away, the sky was filled with dark clouds. From time to time, there would be lightning flashes in the sky, accompanied by loud booms. Below the clouds was a fiery red. The entire ground was covered in flames, and a scorching aura assaulted their faces. I Ching made a hand seal and set up an isolation array around the 2 of them. Only then did he rush into the half-flame and half-lightning world. "Little Zhen, what are you doing?" A man's voice came from the flames on the ground, with a hint of helplessness in his tone. "When have I ever offended you that you want to attack me?" "Shut up." Long Zhen stood in the sky full of lightning. She was so angry that her body trembled. "You dared to plant ghost immortal Ain Chi in my son's egg. You should have thought that this day would come." "Ain Chi." The man paused. Instantly, a slender figure walked out of the flames. He was dressed in blue and had long red hair, just like the flames behind him. He was extremely beautiful, and there was a cinnabar dot between his eyebrows. His entire body exuded a seductive aura. He looked at the woman in front of him in surprise. "What, Ain Chi? What's wrong with your precious dragon egg? You're still pretending." Long Zhen was even angrier. The lightning around her increased. She glared at the man and said, Feng San, don't think I don't know. You were the one who sent the person who told me that I could use the power of reincarnation to save my son. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. She looked at the man, as if she wanted to pluck out all his feathers. I didn't think that you would take the opportunity to instruct a ghost immortal to plant Yin Qi in the egg. You almost sucked my son dry. If I Ching had not returned to this world as an immortal and merged with his dragon body, if his master had not forcefully broken the eggshell, perhaps, the more Long Zhen thought about it, the more she trembled. Feng San, I don't think I did anything wrong to you back then. You know how important my son is to me. Why did you do this to me? I didn't. Little Zhen, I really don't like the dragon egg you've given birth to, Feng San said with a confused expression. I really don't like the dragon egg you laid. I was the one who sent you to send the dragon soul into reincarnation. But I really didn't ask anyone to plant Yin Qi in it. You're still trying to argue? In the entire divine realm, apart from you, a wandering phoenix, who else would have a relationship with a ghost immortal? Feng San's face paled. He seemed to want to explain himself. Long Zhen obviously did not want to listen to him anymore. The lightning around her became even fiercer. Like a sharp blade, she attacked Feng San. Feng San could only dodge and summon a wall of fire to block the lightning. Little Zhen, listen to me. Why would I harm you? Shut up. Long Zhen's attacks became more and more intense. She attacked as if she was going to die. At first, Feng San could still defend himself. But as time went on, he found it harder and harder to defend himself. Just as he was about to be hit by the lightning, a defensive array appeared in front of him. It absorbed the attack and reflected it back at him. Long Zhen could not dodge in time and was hit. Little Zhen, Feng San was shocked. He did not expect this to happen. He tried to fly forward in a panic. Long Zhen took a step back and covered the area where she was hit. She gritted her teeth and endured the pain in her chest. The hatred in her eyes intensified. She summoned lightning and forced Feng San to retreat again. Her eyes turned as cold as ice. She laughed and said, Back then, I must have been blind to have fallen in love with you. Feng San's body stiffened. He seemed to have heard something shocking. His eyes widened in disbelief. Little Zhen, what did you just say? I thought you were different from the other phoenixes. I didn't expect you to be even more shameless than him. It's fine if you don't want to acknowledge my son, but you want to take his life. What did she mean? Feng San, I, Long Zhen, will sever all ties with you today. As soon as she finished speaking, her figure flashed, and she instantly transformed into a giant red dragon. The white lightning around her also turned red, and she charged downwards like a red lightning dragon. Wait, Little Zhen. Long Zhen's speed was extremely fast. With a loud boom, the entire sky was filled with red lightning. Shening and I Ching. A while later, Chef Shening bent down and patted his little shoulder comfortingly. You seem to have another father. I Ching. Son of AB *TCH. Chapter 251. The next moment, the cry of a phoenix could be heard. A huge phoenix appeared on the ground. It was covered in rainbow-colored feathers, as if it was draped in rainbows. With a flap of its wings, it immediately dispersed the surrounding lightning. Its long tail feathers directly wrapped around the dragon's body, binding it tightly like a chain. As if it didn't want to hurt the dragon, it retracted its wings and hugged the dragon in front of it. Let go of me, Long Zhen screamed. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't break free from the other party's control. She had no choice but to turn back into her human form in a flash. Feng San reacted faster than her. He turned back into his human form and held onto the dragon. Using his larger size, he turned around and pinned her to the ground. I'm not letting go. Long Zhen was furious, but she could not move. Even her god power was being suppressed. Feng San, you bastard. Little Zhen, what did you just say? Can you say it again? Feng San looked at the person under him excitedly. His eyes were overflowing with affection. Did you just say that you like me? Little Zhen, you like me, right? Get lost. Long Zhen glared at him, her eyes filled with anger. I hate you. I wanted to pluck all your feathers off 160,000 years ago. Little Jean. His expression darkened. He buried his head in her neck. But I like you. I've liked you since I was young. Bullsh asterisk T. Long Jean did not believe him. You don't even acknowledge your own son. How dare you say you like me? That dragon egg is really mine. Feng San still couldn't believe his ears. It had been so many years, and little Jean had been guarding that egg to her death. He thought she had never fallen for him. That was why he did not dare to look for her. He did not expect that the egg was actually his. How could this be? I thought. Thought what? Long Zhen's expression turned colder. She laughed mirthlessly. You were the one who abandoned us and returned to Wuqi Mountain without saying a word. Why are you still pretending now? No. I don't know. I really don't know. Someone told me. Get lost. Long Zhen did not want to listen to him and began to struggle with all her might. Either you kill me or let me go. No, I won't let you go. Feng San hugged her even tighter. I've already lost you once. I won't let you go again. You bastard, let go. No. Let go. No. I say. Suddenly, a hesitant female voice sounded from the side. The two of them subconsciously turned their heads and saw two figures, one big and one small, squatting beside them. They looked at the two of them with constipated expressions. The corner of Shen Ying's mouth twitched. Let's flirt. Don't put on a show, okay? She would lose fans if she continued to act melodramatic. Long Zhen. Feng San. Phoenix Perching Palace. Feng San stared at the child in front of him, who did not even reach his waist. His eyes, nose, and mouth were so excited that stars seemed to float out of his eyes. The more he looked at him, the more he felt that he looked like himself. This was actually his child. It was his and little Zhen's. He stared at the child even more intently, not daring to blink for fear that he would disappear. His mouth opened and closed a few times before he managed to squeeze out two words. Call me daddy. Splat. Shen Ying could vaguely hear the sound of something breaking. The corner of I Ching's mouth twitched. With a swoosh, an immortal sword appeared in his hand. Master, can I kill him? Shen Ying. Calm down, chef. No matter how melodramatic it was still his own child. The kind that could not be cooked. Humph. Long Zhen, who was sitting on the other side, laughed coldly. She still looked indignant. Why do you have to pretend to acknowledge us now? Feng San's face paled. He sighed and turned to walk toward her. Little Zhen, stop right there. Long Zhen glared at him. Stay away from me. Feng San had no choice but to return to his seat. I really did not know that the dragon egg back then was my child. You were so resolute with me back then. In a fit of anger, I left the dragon abyss and returned to Wuqi Mountain. After that, I heard that you had a child. You thought the child was someone else's. Long Zhen laughed coldly. Feng San hung his head, like a child who had done something wrong. It's all my fault. All these years, I did not dare to ask you personally. I missed out on you for so many years. Long Zhen snorted. She took a deep breath to suppress the anger in her heart. She closed her eyes and said, I don't want to talk about what happened in the past anymore. I just want to ask you, what's going on with the Yin Qi and the dragon egg? I really don't know what Yin Qi is. Feng San said anxiously. I do know one or two ghost immortals, but I only met them by chance when I was crossing the Yin River. Yin River? Long Zhen paused. When did you go to the Yin River? Feng San paused, as if he had let something slip. He subconsciously turned to look at the little figure standing beside Shen Ying. Long Zhen finally reacted. Her eyes widened. The person who broke into the underworld and sent the dragon soul into samsara was you. Her expression changed. How is that possible? I clearly asked. I was the one who told him not to say. Feng San sighed. I know you best. If you knew it was me, you would not have agreed to help. Long Zhen fell silent. She hated him to the core. How could she have accepted his help? Feng San took a step forward. The love in his eyes seemed to be overflowing. He sighed and said, You don't have to worry about it. When I crossed the Yin River by force, I met a few ghost immortals by the river. Unfortunately, I was corroded by the Yin River's death qi. I accidentally awakened the ancient fire phoenix bloodline and became a divine supreme. It was a blessing in disguise. At that time, the dragon's soul in the egg was too weak. It could not withstand any reincarnation sorcery. That was why it could only be sent to the underworld's reincarnation stage. To get to the reincarnation stage, one had to cross the Ain River. Feng San said this casually, but the Ain River's water could corrode one's divine soul. It was not that easy. He must have had no choice but to forcefully awaken it. Longjun frowned. She could not tell what she was feeling. She thought that he had let her down, and then left the dragon abyss, because he did not want to acknowledge their children. She did not expect that he was the one who sent the dragon's soul into samsara. I really don't know what happened to the Yin Qi and the dragon egg. Feng San lowered his voice and said carefully, but I promise you that I will help you find out. How about that? Longjun glanced at him. A complicated look flashed across her eyes. A moment later, she calmed down and returned to her usual coldness. There's no need. She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, her expression was resolute. On account of how you sent my son into samsara, I will let bygones be bygones. I will look into the Yin Qi myself. With that said, she stood up and prepared to leave. Little Zhen. Feng San panicked. In a flash, not only did he appear in front of her, but he also conjured a seal to freeze Longjun in place. He hugged her and said, I will never let you leave me again. All these years, you have always been the only one in my heart. Longjun stopped in her tracks. Her expression was still cold, but her hands started to tremble. Feng San continued, Little Zhen, let's not miss each other again. Please trust me one more time, okay? Supreme Divinity. Just as he finished speaking, an announcement came from the door. The 438th Madam has arrived. Should I arrange for her to go to the rear hall? Feng San. Shening. I Ching. AI. The slap in the face came too fast. It was like a tornado. Intersection, 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 intersection. She could not help but feel a chill in her heart. She directly stuffed the veil in her hand back into the other party's hand. Then let the two of you. You. Before she could finish speaking, her eyes widened, as though she had discovered something. The bride, who had been standing quietly a moment ago, suddenly moved in a flash. She grabbed Longjun in front of her, an immortal sword pressed against her neck. At the same time, an array appeared beneath them. Don't move. If you don't want to die, take me away from this godforsaken place. Little Zhen. Feng San was shocked. His expression darkened. If you dare to hurt her, I will tear you into pieces. The person's hand conjured a gust of black qi. If you don't want her to die, step back. This is Yin Qi. Who are you? What do you want? Could this person be a ghost immortal? Feng San's hand, which was about to cast a spell, paused. He looked anxiously at the person in his grasp. Little Zhen, don't be afraid. I will save you. Who needs you to save me? Longjun seemed to have lost her mind from anger. She ignored everything else and forced her way through the array. Lightning appeared on her body again, and she attacked the person behind her. The person holding her was caught off guard and was forced back a few steps. Even the Yin Qi in his hand dissipated. The two of them were shocked. This was not Yin Qi. The person's expression changed. He turned and tried to rush out of the hall. Where do you think you're going? Feng San snorted. An array lit up at the door, blocking the exit. With a twist of his hand, he summoned a ball of true phoenix fire. With a scorching aura that could burn anything, he sent it towards the person in front of him. No one in this world dared to touch little Zhen in front of him. The fire came closer and closer. It was about to burn the person. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the door. She raised her hand and caught the ball of fire. Then she clenched her fist. With a sizzling sound, the true phoenix fire was extinguished. Feng San. Shening turned to look at the person in the bride's makeup. She raised her hand and called out, Hey, Father Niu. Lone Moon, who had just escaped death, froze on the spot. A moment later, a roar reverberated through the entire hall. Hey, my ass. He swung the sword in his hand at the person's head. Where the hell did you go? Ouch, 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 ouch. Shenning subconsciously held her forehead. Didn't I come looking for you? Look for your sister. Do you think I'm blind? You freaking bumped into her, didn't you? Don't mind such details. Is this a freaking detail? I was almost roasted. It's not Master's fault. I Ching hurriedly stood in front of Shenning to protect her. Unfortunately, the difference in height was too big. Half of his height could not block his anger at all. The three of us got separated. It's already a miracle that Master could find us. Lo Moon looked down and paused. Who is this little brat? I Ching. Shenning. Half an hour later. In other words, you were originally a dragon. That's why you changed back the moment you arrived in the divine realm. Lo Moon, who had just heard the whole story, looked I Ching up and down. Yes. I Ching nodded. The corner of Lo Moon's mouth twitched. No wonder this fellow cheated all the way. His cultivation level rose so quickly. He was born on the finish line. Damn it. This bunch of winners in life who reincarnated through the back door. I can't catch up even if I work myself to death. Father Nio actually. Shenning was just about to speak. Shut up. Lo Moon turned and glared at her. You were born on the podium. You have no right to speak. Oh. Long. I Ching. Long Zhen could not help but ask. Since this fellow Taoist is familiar with you, it must have been a misunderstanding. How should I address you? I Ching subconsciously replied, he's Nio. I'm Lone Moon. Nio my ass. He cupped his fists and bowed. I'm sorry. I was not clear about the situation before. I offended you. I hope Supreme Divinity will forgive me. It's all right. Longjin shook her head nonchalantly. Why are you here? I Ching asked. He even glanced at his wedding dress. He even changed into a woman's appearance and became a bride? If not for the fact that his face did not change, and that they were too familiar with his aura, he and Master would not have recognized him at first glance. The corner of Loman's mouth twitched. He frowned. A moment later he sighed and said, I found Shorty. Chapter 253. I Ching and Shenning were shocked. They asked, where is she? Where is she? Don't worry, she should be fine now. Lo Moon frowned. When I first arrived in the divine world, I was near the underworld. I sensed the same yin qi as the flower in Xian Tong's room, so I chased it all the way to the underworld. Then I found her on the way. Little Shorty, are you all right? Shenning asked. He's fine, just slightly injured, Wang Yao said. Lo Moon seemed to recall something. His expression darkened. She was locked in a cave abode. I was not confident that I could get her out safely, so I let her go and find Shenning first. I took her place for a while, and waited for an opportunity to escape. I didn't think that I would be sent here, before I could think of a plan. I was even told to marry an old sex fiend who had hundreds of wives. All of a sudden, the three screens all turned to look at a certain phoenix. The old sex fiend Feng San. Little Zhen. Feng San immediately turned to Long Zhen. Listen to me. I don't know anything about this. Long Zhen turned. It has nothing to do with me. Little Zhen. Feng San wanted to cry. Trust me this once really. Why don't I bring you to the back palace? Then you'll know how to come back. I don't want to know. Listen to me. I'm not listening. Listen to me. I'm not listening. You said I dash. Shut up. I Ching's mouth twitched. Immortal swords filled the sky, all aimed at the two of them. They had already acted out 2 chapters. Was there an end to it? If you keep talking, I'm going to attack. Feng San. Long Zhen. You're already attacking. You can spill your dog blood later. I Ching turned to look at Feng San. You should know who the person who sent Father Nio here is, right? Feng San hesitated. After thinking for a while he said, he's from the underworld. There's only one ghost immortal I'm familiar with there. Who? Ghost immortal Zhu Ming. Feng San frowned. Then, as if thinking of something, he added, but if it's him, then he might not be trying to harm you. Lo Moon hesitated. What do you mean? Follow me to the rear hall, and you'll know once you see it, he said as he pointed behind him. They exchanged glances and followed Feng San to the rear hall. As soon as he stepped through the door of the rear hall, the scenery in front of him changed. The majestic hall instantly turned into a dense forest. Then, he heard the cries of phoenixes, and saw that there were dozens of phoenixes of different colors in their original forms, guarding something. Beside the phoenixes, there were a few women dressed in different clothes. There were formations set up around the phoenixes, and in the middle of each formation, there was an egg as tall as a human, with phoenix plume patterns faintly visible. This is... Long Zhen was shocked. The Phoenix clan's breeding forest. It's only temporary, Feng San replied. It had always been difficult for the Dragon clan and the Phoenix clan to have children. Every egg needed thousands of years to fully hatch, so the two clans attached great importance to this matter. Normally, after they gave birth, they would gather at one place to wait for their eggs to hatch. Even the Dragon clan, which had always been separate, would gather at the place where their eggs were hatched for safety reasons. That was why only the clansmen of each clan knew where their eggs were hatched. They are my wives, Feng San said, sounding a little aggrieved. So, Shining paused. These eggs are all yours? Pfft. Feng San almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Fellow Taoist, don't harm me even if you don't want to help. This is the place where the Phoenix clan hatches their eggs. I'm just bringing them here. Oh. She thought he was good at giving birth. I Ching, who thought he was good at giving birth. Lone Moon, who also thought so. Fortunately, he did not ask. 10,000 years ago, there was a problem with the original breeding forest of the Phoenix clan, and they could not find a new safe place. That's why they came to me. I split this mystic realm and asked them to temporarily hide here. Who knew that more and more people would come? His cultivation level was the highest among the Phoenix clan. Since they were from the same clan, he could not reject them. Even after the new breeding forest was built, there were still people from the Phoenix clan who came to ask for help. Hatching needs to be looked after from time to time. That's why I also took in some people from other clans who had nowhere else to go. The few of them took a closer look. Indeed, there were women and men in the array. There were even people from other clans as well. Then why do the people in Phoenix Perch Palace call them wives? Feng San stiffened. Awkwardness flashed across his face. That's because I heard that you, Dragon Abyss, took in many servants. I thought that's why they called you that. Oh. *3, so they were just acting out of spite? One found a bunch of servants to incubate dragon eggs. The other found a bunch of wives to incubate phoenix eggs. In a sense, these two were a match made in heaven. Long Zhen did not reply, but the anger on her face dissipated a little. The people in this mystic realm are all prepared not to leave until all the eggs hatch. That's why the people here have nowhere else to go. They just want to seek shelter. Feng San looked at Lone Moon and said, That's why Zhu Ming wanted to send your friend here. Perhaps he wanted her to stay away from something. I think the one who wants to harm her is someone else. The three of them stiffened. Father Nyo, where is little Shorty now? Shining asked. Lone Moon paused. He quickly retrieved a transmission amulet and sent some immortal chi into it. But there was no response at all. How could this be? I told her to wait for me in a dense forest nearby. Let's go take a look. With that, Shening turned and walked out the door. The others glanced at each other and immediately followed. Lone Moon pulled her back. Shening, it's this way. You have no sense of direction. Don't rush ahead. Lone Moon and Little Shorty had agreed to meet in a dense forest about 50 kilometers away from Wu Chi Mountain. The forest there was dense, and it was very well hidden. Coupled with the chaotic aura outside the forest, it was very difficult to find them there. But shit. Lone Moon looked at the destroyed forest in front of him. There was still some Yin Chi lingering on the ground. They had only been gone for less than an hour. I'd better ask Zhu Ming about the situation. Feng San looked at the few anxious people and hurriedly conjured a water mirror. A moment later, the image of a middle-aged man dressed in black appeared on the water mirror. He was surrounded by thick death chi, but his face was exceptionally peaceful. There was even a hint of a smile on his lips. Feng San? Why are you so free to contact an old friend? Did you receive the gift I sent? Brother Chu, can you tell me why you sent that woman to me? What exactly happened? Feng San asked. Why did something happen to her again? Zhu Ming was shocked. Again? Feng San paused. Chapter 254. Zhu Ming frowned and sighed. That day, I sensed a special aura in the divine underworld. I followed it and realized that it was immortal qi. Then I saw that woman. She was trapped in the blood-soul array at that time, so I saved her in passing. The blood-soul formation. Feng San was shocked and his eyes widened. You're saying that someone wants to extract her soul? That's right. Zhu Ming nodded, his expression solemn. To be able to control the blood-soul array, he must be a ghost immortal. His cultivation level is not low either. The person who set up the formation must have noticed that her immortal soul was not as strong as that of a god. So he wanted to absorb her soul to nourish his own body. That was why he set up the blood-soul formation to weaken her soul body. I was afraid that if she continued to stay in the netherworld, the person who set up the formation would not let the matter rest. Thus, without waiting for her to wake up, I sent her to your place. I thought that with your ability in Fengqi Mountain, you should be able to protect her. Lone Moon. So did he marry her for nothing? Then does Brother Chu know who captured her? I don't know either. Zhu Ming shook his head. When I found her, there was only an array around her. In other words, they had no idea where to look for him. Feng San expressed his gratitude and put away the mirror. Master? I Ching looked at Shening. Given Shorty's cultivation, be it in the divine realm or the netherworld, she would be in danger. Shening frowned. Let's go to the underworld. Yes, master. A certain pair of parents hurriedly said. The underworld is too dangerous. I Ching, why don't we? There's no need. I Ching turned and glared at them. He pointed at Long Zhen and said, let's talk about this after we've settled your problem. It was enough that he had his master. Oh, disappointed too, she felt sad, and felt that her master had given birth to her son. The netherworld was the place where the dead souls of the three realms were born. It was the complete opposite of the immortal realm, which was filled with immortal qi. At the intersection of the two realms, it was as if the heavens and earth had split into two different worlds. One side was filled with the normal green immortal qi, while the other was filled with the thick black death qi. The trio had already arrived at the netherworld. What do we do now? Lone Moon glanced at the wandering souls. I Ching cast a tracking spell, and put down his hand after a while. No, this place is full of death qi. The aura in the forest disappeared the moment it entered the underworld. Shit. Lone Moon cursed under his breath. The underworld is so big. Where am I going to find Shorty? Why don't we ask him to come find us? Shening suddenly suggested. Both of them were stunned and turned to look at her. What do you mean? Didn't the person who captured Shorty want her immortal soul? Indeed. I Ching nodded. That blood soul array is for devouring souls. We have immortal souls here too. They would never complain about having too many, right? I Ching paused, then understood. He turned to look at a certain someone beside him. Why are you looking at me? Lone Moon glared back in frustration. It was good to lure the snake out of its hole, but why me again? Shening. They won't be able to see me even if I go. I Ching. I am no longer an immortal. And Father Niu, didn't you not change your clothes? It just so happens that I don't need to change anymore. Who knows, maybe he likes women. Master is right. Son of AB *Tsich. He understood the logic, but why did he feel the urge to slap these two to death? He took a deep breath and suppressed his violent nature. After thinking for a while, he said, all right, I will set up a spirit gathering array to lure him out. But this is the underworld. I can only hold it for 5 minutes at most. You two hide well. If he escapes, don't ask me for food expenses in the future. Yes, Father Niu. No problem, Father Niu. As soon as he finished speaking, the two of them retreated tens of meters away. I Ching took out 2 aura-concealing talismans and stuck them on his chest. Master doesn't need them. He wanted to slap them to death even more. What should he do? Calm down, calm down. For the sake of invincible sex, only sword cultivator disciple, he would endure. Lone Moon took a big step forward and walked some distance away. He conjured a seal with both hands, and a spirit-gathering array appeared under his feet. It emitted a faint white light, and the overflowing yin qi and death qi in the array were immediately cleared out. It was especially obvious in the pitch-black underworld. Lone Moon walked into the array and sat down cross-legged. He pretended to meditate and regulate his breathing. Immortal qi emanated from his body. In an instant, the wandering souls around him seemed to have encountered something scary. They all fled in different directions. He sat there for a full 10 minutes. Apart from the decreasing number of wandering souls around him, there was no other reaction. It was eerily quiet. Was it useless? Lone Moon frowned. Could it be that the other party had seen through their plan? Or had they been discovered when they entered the underworld? He hesitated whether to retract the immortal qi. After all, this was the underworld. Although the spirit-gathering array could temporarily isolate the surrounding yin qi, it would not last for long. Just as he was about to retract it, he suddenly felt a cold yin qi that was different from the surrounding wandering souls flying towards him. It's here. His heart tightened. He immediately summoned a wall of qi to protect himself. There was a loud bang. A ray of black qi hit the wall of qi. Together with the array on the ground, it was instantly shattered. Lone Moon retreated more than 10 feet to avoid the attack. Who's there? Ha ha ha. A sinister laughter suddenly sounded. A human figure suddenly appeared in the black aura in the sky. It was a black-clothed woman. Her face was strangely pale, and 2 streams of bloody tears seemed to be flowing uncontrollably from her blood-red eyes as they flowed out. She looked at Lone Moon with a look of madness. Immortal soul, my immortal soul, it's mine. As she spoke, an even thicker yin qi exploded from her body. A huge array immediately appeared above their heads, flashing with a blood-red light. Blood soul array. Lone Moon was shocked. He turned and shouted, Shining. The next moment, a rain of swords appeared in the sky and attacked the ghost immortal in the sky. The swords pierced through the heavy yin qi and the figure in the sky. Several holes appeared on the woman's body. Even half of her head was missing. Yet she did not seem to feel anything. She turned around and looked at Lone Moon with her blood-red eyes. Her body, which had been pierced through, was instantly restored to its original shape. Immortal soul, my immortal soul. With that said, she turned and pounced in Xin Ying's direction. The yin qi that was even stronger than before covered the sky and earth. Lone Moon was shocked. He hurriedly reminded, Shining, be careful. She doesn't have a physical body. You're grabbing. Bam. Before he could finish speaking, the ghost immortal was pressed to the ground by a certain someone. Shining turned to look at him. Father Nyo, what did you say? No, nothing? Mother faster is Kerr. Immortal soul, immortal soul. The ghost immortal was pressed down by Shining until she could not move. Yet she still stared in the direction of Lone Moon and I Ching, unwilling to give up. Lone Moon hurried forward and asked anxiously, Where's the other person from the immortal realm that you captured earlier? Yet the ghost immortal did not seem to hear him at all. She only tried to squirm out of Xin Ying's hands and pounced toward Lone Moon. She was even crazier than before. This woman, what's wrong with her? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.